TGIF, Angela. Do you feel that way? Do you feel, thank God it's Friday? Are you feeling that?
Well, most weeks, yes, but this is Fat Bear Week, so I don't know if I'm looking forward to it ending.
Fat Bear Week? It's like, you showed me that video and I can't get it out of my mind.
Oh, there's so many videos of bears just like sleeping in a brook with
It's the one on his back, bro. The guy looks like the one that looks like he's like washing his armpits. Yeah. And just
There's a bear
around
straight up like, he looks like he's like drifting down the river in an inner tube, but he's not. It's just his giant, fat, buoyant belly. They're so happy. They're fattening up before the winter, and Alaska has installed all of these like high definition cameras to watch these fat fucking bears enjoy their gluttony.
It's the fucking greatest, man.
It's so awesome. There was one where it was like an overhead camera, and it was just this huge bear like just floating like a raft, not even kicking. You could see his giant butt and his little feet just gliding. All the fish underneath the water were like just fleeing. He's just unbothered.
Yeah.
We should all aspire to be a little bit more like the fat bears during Fat Bear Week.
Delicate's excited for Showgirl. It's going to be here in a week. And she's telling us that her attendance, hi, by the way, she's saying that her attendance is going to be spotty until 10:10. Well, we'll miss you. That'll suck to not have you, but you know.
Well, thanks for checking in.
Having house guests, and then she's going to Italy.
Oh, yeah, that's so awesome.
Fuck yeah, that's so cool.
Tell us what part of Italy you're going to so that I can look up pictures and then cry about how I'm not also going.
We'll go find all the perfect spots.
I know. I bet it's so beautiful. Italy seems like a nice place to visit.
I've only been to Rome. I loved it. And I love the countryside that, you know, I the very little of the countryside I got to see. I was only there for like 5 nights maybe. I don't even know. It was like a week in Rome. And it was wonderful.
That sounds so nice.
Saw some of the most incredible art, you know, ever made, or ever created. So I got to sit in an unfinished Da Vinci room, or stand in an unfinished Da Vinci room in the Vatican. It was wild. And they had it blocked off, but there was like parts. I guess there was a time, where they didn't have it blocked off. And so there's like all this fucking graffiti in the Da Vinci room on an unfinished. It's the craziest shit you ever saw.
So before they restricted people's proximity to the actual wall, they were writing on it.
Yeah,
they vandalized it.
Vandalism.
God. People fucking suck. I mean, at least it wasn't like, you know, you can't be like kids these days, you know, because people sucked. Like, what? That's probably like, what generation was it that they were allowing to do that? I can't believe that they didn't predict that was going to happen.
Cosmic Urgency is dropping the exciting news, which is that One Battle is doing better than Flowers and Revenant.
Wonderful.
That is good. I think it's going to be huge. This was my feeling. I've had a big long conversation with a friend about it earlier today. I think it's going to be a fucking huge movie. I think it's going to be massive.
Well, I wish them nothing.
And
I feel, great, good. I feel good for them. That's great, whatever. But for me, I'm nervous. Makes me nervous. Yeah. Makes you nervous? Why?
Just because, there's a chance then that the book will blow up.
Yeah, which would prompt them to want to quiet that.
Which I want on the one hand, and on the other hand, I know that it'll bring ire.
Yeah.
And whatever else.
Right.
And so I'm like, fuck.
It's like a target, right?
Yeah. So I'm nervous. But I'm nervous like being in a roller coaster where, I paid for this shit. Like this, I want this. This is the ride I asked for. And now I'm in the fucking ride and I'm like, oh shit. Okay. This is a big drop.
Here's the thing though, that like, no matter what happens, it's like you wrote your story. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with him because it's your story.
It does, but it's
you
are
telling your story.
Correct.
And the purpose for you telling your story is because a lot of people were getting your story wrong and you needed to correct your story. So it's like, why should he have an issue with that?
Probably,
like legally.
Maybe because of the peroxide. Maybe because of Emily Foster.
Yeah, well, it's not like you're not fibbing about any of that. So
No. I told the story, and all of them, these stories were relevant, whether it's Bijou Phillips, whatever.
Yeah, and none of those stories either is there an expectation of privacy, because there's a bunch of other fucking people around.
Hey, listen, he called me a fucking liar. So that's what that's about. I don't give a shit. You know, if he comes forward, like I'm nervous. I'm just going to be nervous about this. This is just what I'm going to do. I'm fucking going to be sweating in the palms for the next fucking 6 months. And it is going to be that long because, you know, this is going to be an Oscar ride. There's no question that this is going to be an Oscar ride. They're calling it a masterpiece. It's already trending to be one of the highest critically, you know, highest critic rating of all time. Like it's literally like people are calling it perfect. They're calling it a masterpiece. It's all these amazing things. I read to you just yesterday that comment that stays with me in terms of the receptions that it's getting in the theaters. It's an exciting cinematic moment, and Leonardo DiCaprio is the star. And, you know, this is his life. This is the way he goes. Like he is sort of an unstoppable force and almost godlike, and it gives people, you know, that feeling. He's not, of course, he's just a dude, but the fucking shit is just lined for him. Every goddamn turn of this guy's life is just good, better, good. And he, you know, he's unfortunately he fumbles it all over the place, but it doesn't seem to matter much. I'm nervous. We'll see what happens. I'm glad you guys are coming along for the fucking ride because I think it's going to be something. I do. You know, I wrote an open letter in 2014, and when The Revenant blew up, you know, literally hundreds of thousands of people were visiting freedomsplum.com, and I had no preparation for it whatsoever. I mean, I literally had only in place the opportunity for people to email me, and I still got like 10,000 emails. So just expect something. I just don't know what it is. And with the book, obviously the book is, first of all, it's good. It's a good book. So that's a part of what makes me nervous because like, it's not like my open letter was fine, but it's just an open letter, you know, and it was like long because it was an open letter. So it's like, oh God, it's an open letter and it's like 5 pages. But this is a book, and even though it's a big, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. Fuck it. Let's go. Let's
see
go.
what happens.
One battle after another. Well, I guess this is true for...
Oh, it's opening night tonight, right? No, yesterday?
Tonight. The movie's opening tonight.
Tonight
Leo's
or
fucking
yesterday?
eating something fancy somewhere and all that shit.
Midnight last night?
I don't know.
Today?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
What do I look like? The
You're supposed to know these
distributor. Guilty Angel's here. Delicate, as you know, is here, and she is going to do the fucking beautiful fucking Italy tour. She is doing Milan, Florence, and Rome. I mean, really, that's just so perfect. You're going to see everything. You're going to see David. You're going to see it all. That's just absolutely perfect. If you threw a little Venice in there and romance, and it'd be a wrap.
That's so wild.
Airbnb is in Florence. I'm told, although I haven't been, obviously, as I just said, but Florence is, I'm told, the absolute fucking best. The best. It is, you know, it's like Michelangelo's fucking playground in terms of his art.
Oh, this is so smart. Delicatessen said, just got my house cleaned. So much to do. Let me just say that this is like such a fucking cheat code. Like, I don't understand why more people don't make this part of their like vacation routine.
What's that?
If you clean your house before you go, then returning home feels so much better.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't start doing this sooner, but after I did it just one time, I do it every single time now. Whenever I go on a trip, even if we're just going camping or something, I make sure the house is totally clean before I leave. And oh my God, it makes such a huge difference because you come home from traveling, you're fucking exhausted. All your shit and your fucking luggage is dirty. Like, you don't want to have that in a messy house too, you know?
Yeah.
It's just so much smarter. That's such like a huge favor that you're doing to your future post-vacation self when you clean before you leave.
Yeah.
So smart. I definitely recommend it.
I dig it too. It's kind of like not folding everything, but just kind of like laying everything in layers in your suitcase. I saw somebody do this who was like a
frequent traveler.
Like
and
ridiculous. They were like, they did the festival circuit.
And they're
for
like,
distributors.
this is the only way I do it.
And the way they folded, I couldn't believe how many. I was like, how do you have that many fucking clothes? And you're like, they pack like with the efficiency of flight staff.
Amazing.
Yeah. Me, I'm fucking, I got the big fucking suitcase, the fucking whatever, the carry-on that's too big.
Oh yeah, or like me, like I'll find someplace that has laundry and bring like 2-3 things.
And then I'll wear. See, that's what I got to do. That's
it's like kind of.
That's how I would travel now for sure. Now I travel with like a backpack. Back then I was like, oh fuck, I gotta have this, I gotta have that.
Yeah, I'm also not trying to do fancy shit wherever I go to. So I'm like, okay, these sneakers, this one pair will do fine.
Right, you don't
need
no fucking fancy shoes. Me neither. So an absolute legendary human being, and thank you for educating me.
What? What are you talking about? Who's a legendary human being?
I'm talking about Assata Shakur, of course.
Oh, okay, yes.
But
Yep.
she passed away at 78 years old.
She's a really big deal in American civil rights history.
Yeah, she died.
And she was made a bigger deal by the police who were persecuting her.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that she is as like infamous and legendary in real life than they made her out to be. At the time of her death, she still had a $2 million bounty on her head. She was on the FBI's most wanted terrorist list until the moment she died.
She just became an enemy of the state.
She became an enemy of the state. And I think the reason why, I think she has articulated this herself, that the reason why they targeted her so much was because she was in these Black liberation movements, but she was young and she was really smart and outspoken and beautiful. And they saw that as a huge threat for recruitment, that people in colleges were going to see her as somebody to look up to.
Like she would rise.
Yeah.
It was about sort of like, kill the monster when it's little.
Yeah, like they would just like, I think the authorities would notice who was doing the best communicating and who also looked the best, like what seemed the most polished.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we got to keep them away from the kids who are going to recognize that that's speech worth listening to.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, you don't want them fucking, it's true. Like her, you played for me her, whatever, I don't know what it was, some kind of recording.
An interview that she did in Cuba. She did several interviews after she left for Cuba.
That she died in exile in Cuba. Cuba is just so fascinating.
She died free though, and she loved it there. Yeah, so that's really great.
Yeah, Cuba?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No, but she was always really
It was
grateful
also
to be
untouched by American culture. The entire time that she left there, she left America. America was gone.
But she wasn't just in exile.
Well,
she was
wasn't.
actually...
It was actually, America was kind of frozen in Cuba. When the embargo began, basically Cuba kind of put the brakes on. So Jerry Metters, he went and he told me these fascinating stories about just basically how it's like, it's like the cars are all the old cars. They're all all the old American cars. There's no new American cars there. So it's like all this kind of wild shit where there was like, you can see.
It's like a time capsule.
It's like a time capsule.
Yeah.
But even more like a museum, like a living, breathing museum, because these things just stopped. So, and they just got, sort of piled upon. And then also the music and everything changed so much because it was being infused so greatly by things like American jazz, and the way in which that got infused into the local Cuban music was wild. A wild thing happened there.
But the American government leveraged a lot of these people who had fled to Cuba, who were like, enemies of the state type people. So the American authorities would like leverage their extradition by trying to offer Cuba stuff that Cuba might wanted, lift the embargo or whatever.
Yeah.
And Cuba never fucking fell for it.
I love it. She had a $2 million.
Cuba never fell for it because Cuba was like, dude, the Americans are so insincere. They never keep their promises. We are not doing business with these people.
You said that that Assata like loved it there.
Yes.
How do you know that?
She wrote about it. She wrote about how not only was she was like out and proud as a political exile, and the government of Cuba sort of uplifted her as one of those. Like they didn't see her as anything other than a target of the state. It's just a way for them to very easily make an example of somebody to show what American imperialism is actually doing. Because she could not have been accused of all of the things that she was arrested for. Like, for instance, okay, so she had to break out of prison because she had been given a life sentence for there was a big shootout on between several people in her car that were also members of the Black Liberation Movement, and then and the police on the New Jersey Turnpike.
The Black Liberation Army, I believe they're called, right?
Yes, but like more generally,
yes.
Not all of these people were so organized, but they all hung together, Okay. So the story was that she mortally wounded a police officer, and she was wounded by gunfire from the cops. But they were in the trial, they had selected a jury that was 15 white people. It was I think it was like 5 white men, 10 white women, and 5 of those people had direct personal family relations
of your peers.
No, I know, and 5 of those people had direct family relationships to sheriffs.
I mean, I can't imagine how frightening that must have been.
Yeah. Well, so also they had a really hard time finding expert witnesses in her defense because a lot of those people had conflicts of interest because they were always working with the police. So it's very rare that you have like that the person on trial that in the defense is actually defending themselves against a police murder, you know, and then they can't get most of the people who are hired to be expert witnesses on trial work with the cops, so they can't. But they did find
That's crazy.
They did find a medical examiner to testify that her injuries could not have occurred the police story could not have been true. So her story is that she was shot by the police with her arms up. That she had given herself up to the police and her arms were up and they shot her. Mm-hmm. And there was one in her that broke her collarbone, and then she turned around, and then another one in her back that hit her scapula.
Dude, the opening of the autobiography is
gnarly.
so graphic.
Yeah.
It's fucking
Her autobiography is incredible. But so the medical examiner testified in front of this jury who did end up fucking convicting her. They said that it is anatomically impossible for her to have sustained those injuries if her arms were down or if she was holding a firearm in any firing position. They were like, the only way she could have gotten those injuries is if she was shot while her arms were up.
Really?
So the anatomical, like the fucking
forensics,
the medical forensic evidence was like, she is telling the true story. And now it's such that it doesn't fucking matter anymore if people are like, you know, shot with their arms up. But back then it made a difference. You know?
It should always.
Yes, of course. I know.
Arms up should be surrender.
Yeah.
It's what we do. It's what they do in war. I mean, in war, you're not allowed to shoot people with their fucking arms up.
Yeah, typically. I know. And so, but it didn't matter. She got convicted by that jury of not her peers. And then she got busted out of. Okay. And before she escaped,
she got sentenced to life plus 33 years.
Yeah, and apparently the conditions of her imprisonment were so bad that the UN had somebody come in and like survey the area. They said that her specifically, that she was being so mistreated that it was against human rights. It like violated human rights laws.
Incredible.
Like her mistreatment was so extreme. So she was visited by a few people who did a big holdup and then escaped her in a van. And then she went into hiding for years and they couldn't find her. And the neighborhood that they were sure that she was in, they kept posting all of these like...
God, the good old days. Yeah. Where you could just get whipped away in a fucking van.
Yeah.
Nobody's like, where the fuck are you?
No, but check this out. So the cops were like, they had these huge rewards for people to turn her in.
Yeah.
And they went like door to door and they put up all these signs and stuff. And so people started putting up their own signs that said that Assata Shakur is welcome here. And the cops were so frustrated because they kept trying to find where she was, but nobody in the entire neighborhood was willing to cooperate. Even though they were offering this huge reward, they were like, we don't believe you. We don't trust you. And she's welcome here.
Amazing.
I know. So when she finally got disappeared, nobody knows how long she was living in Cuba before she finally like reappeared and was like, I'm in Cuba.
So she could have been there much longer than they don't know. Nobody knows. Because
she had so much community support. Isn't that great?
Well, you know, when I heard that interview, I thought she was just so fucking brilliant.
She's so brilliant, yeah. I mean, it's like she fully admits that she did do crimes.
No, this is the point.
Like there were crimes that she's responsible for. She was on the FBI terrorist watch list because, you know, she was doing a ton of crimes and getting away with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, they were kind of a gang, really. I mean, they were doing a lot of robbery.
Yeah, so they were notoriously bad for they were robbing drug dealers, which is like, you know, whatever. So they targeted drug dealers for robbery
or whatever.
And then they robbed banks. But they didn't hurt anybody. So, you know, obviously they wanted them off the streets and that they weren't like do-gooders or whatever.
I just realized that Death Wish, like, I don't know what Charles Bronson's character's name is. He's just this stoic cop. Like, I wanted to name him just then, and I couldn't because I don't fucking know what that character... I think I've seen every single one of them.
Isn't that character's issue that he's, like, racist and xenophobic, and so he's trying to, like, fix crime, but really, like...
Racist and xenophobic? I don't know. It's been too long for me to
It seems like one of those movies where it's like...
It's not a movie, it's a series. It's Death Wish all the way up.
I thought it was a movie.
It is, yeah. It starts with Death Wish and then it keeps going. Just like Rocky. There were a lot of them.
Death Wish, 1974. Paul Kersey.
Paul Kersey. Mm-hmm. So I swear I feel like that's the first time I heard that. Now, obviously, I probably heard his name in the movies, but while watching the movies. But
anyway, why are you talking about
Paul
Death Wish?
Kersey. I don't know. It came up. I thought of something you said, made me think about it, and I was like, why am I thinking? What's that character's name? It just popped in my head.
I just want to say a couple more things about Assata Shakur.
Please do.
It's a big day for like hip hop. It made so many references to her constantly.
Yeah.
Like she's such a legend.
She was also a Panther, by the way, and then she
was briefly a Black Panther.
Yeah.
She apparently left because she said that she didn't like how the men were so macho. She wanted everybody.
They were pretty fucking macho, bro.
Well, she joined
real.
joined the Black Liberation Army, where they're more militant, but I guess they were more aligned with her sensibilities.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's super interesting life. I think her legendary status was. It's just so typical that the police try and vilify somebody and then make them bigger by doing that. Like if they hadn't wrongfully accused her of so many things, like they were accusing her, she was like suspect number one in all the crimes because they wanted her so badly. They wanted to get her off the streets or out of this movement so badly. They wanted to punish her. So they were just like accusing her of so many things that she couldn't have possibly been responsible for all of them. Like you can't be in all these places at the same time, type shit.
It's so weird that they would be so sloppy.
So sloppy.
Maybe,
and also with the
because
lack
back then it was more like a state thing anyway. And so they were just...
Yeah.
The information didn't flow so freely.
Well, it's also the lack of foresight too. Like you're going to make this person a legend, It's stupid.
And especially somebody who's articulate like she is. I mean, again, just going back to that interview, it's really powerful to hear.
She's a very powerful
She speaks
speaker.
powerfully.
Yeah.
She speaks confidently. Her tone just rings of truth and strength. She doesn't have any waver in anything that her conviction
her
is
conviction's
incredible.
Really admirable.
Yeah.
Another thing too that I admire her for personally is because she was saying that the more that she learned about what this struggle is all about, the more that she recognized that it is fundamentally a class struggle and less of a race struggle. She said it all boils down to classism because you can find allies anywhere and you'll see that they are in the same class struggle as you, but you will find people that you think are allies because you're racially aligned who are not allies because they are on the other side of the class struggle. There's people who are trying to climb a ladder and will put everybody else beneath them. And you have to be able to identify those people regardless of their race and see who's really on your side and who's not.
Imagine being broken out of jail.
Oh, I know. It's so badass.
And put in a van.
But she
and
did
then taken into some kind of fucking and then to successfully hide and then get off of the country.
Yeah.
Like that's just
she also
so
had really
legendary in every possible way.
She also had really influential letters from prison, just like Martin Luther King's letters from a Birmingham jail. Mm. And he also, similar to Assata Shakur, he also later in his career, they think that this is the reason why he was assassinated was because he also was reframing everything as a class struggle. Primarily, he was like working more for the working class.
I've always believed it. I believe that racism is the scapegoat. It got bred into this hatred.
Because it's easier to divide people that way. You just look at people and they're divided.
It got bred into this hatred, but
it's also a way to,
about creating.
That's how you divide the working class, right? Like if we're all unified as the working class against, our oppressors, then like across racial lines, like that's a huge majority,
Yeah.
Another thing I thought was really amazing that she said, and then I'll leave with this, we can move on to something else, but she was saying you're a fool if you let anyone tell you who your enemies are. If you let anyone else tell you who your enemies are. And she was talking about like governments and organizations trying to pit people against each other. Mm-hmm. And I remember that Muhammad Ali said this too when he was avoiding going to Vietnam. And I think Malcolm X was saying this too. He's like, you have to make sure that your eyes are clear when you're recognizing who your enemy is and be really suspicious of anybody who's trying to tell you what that answer is. Because they have an agenda.
Imagine being in that situation where you're like, okay, you're going to go to war. You're going to go shoot at people. You're going to go kill people because I said you are.
I know.
Because I said you are.
Muhammad Ali's so clear-eyed when he talks about it. Where he's like, I don't have any problem with my convictions.
So, by the way, last thing about Assata Shakur is that, she is the godmother of Tupac Shakur. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's Tupac's godmom.
I don't know what the shared last name is about.
Yeah.
Because she...
Do your digging.
She created this name for herself. It's like
Maybe Tupac Shakur is a created name as well.
Right. So all of her 3 names have meanings in various languages, and it's in the Wikipedia. I can't remember what they are.
So that's also kind of a neat little piece of,
That is neat. Little family tree.
Lore. Well, rest in peace. I think that it's so cool that she got to die of old age and got to die in
peace.
In peace and having had a full life. Here's the thing
Where
about
she was
it.
Protected too. Like Cuba wasn't going to give her away for nothing.
Yeah, here's the thing. I mean, if she's going to be if they're going to try and like lie and set her up for one crime, you can't really understand. You can't really truly hold her accountable for any. Although she was almost, I would say, foolish enough to admit to crimes.
She did admit. She was like, yeah, well, there were robberies.
Yeah.
Is all that she
robberies.
said. Like she's not implicating herself or anybody else.
Yeah,
but she's just like those did happen.
Yeah. Right. And so, and obviously those are crimes. Those are bad. We don't want robbery even in our activism. But, when you have the state trying to set you up for things like murder, when you have the state trying to put you down with 15 white jurors, when there's such a clear and concise attack on you.
5 of them have sheriffs as family members.
By the government, then I think that her escaping to Cuba is justice.
Yeah.
As opposed to her evading justice. I think it is justice. If she is an enemy of the state for reasons only really known to the state and not relevant to her crimes, because her robbery would have given her some time, and then she would have come out from that and done what she did, whatever, wrote her book in prison, whatever it would have been. Mm-hmm. But she would have faced those crimes and, presumably she would have done the time. The reason she got broken out of a prison was because she was serving life plus 33 for something she did not do. And that was a setup by the state. And that's, of course, if you believe her side of the story, which seems to forensically hold up and, whatever. I love the legend anyway, so I'm going to dance with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, the medical examiner in the trial, he was like, okay, she physically couldn't have been wounded this way if her arms were down or if her arms were in any other position than up. But also, the bullet struck a specific nerve. I can't remember what it was, but it completely incapacitated and numbed her arm completely. She wouldn't have been able to hold or fire a gun at all. They were like, there's
the wound she sustained.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but that didn't necessarily wouldn't have prevented her from shooting her first before that wound.
No, you're right. But her arm being up, it completely contradicted and disproved the prosecutor's story.
Incredible.
But you're right that the opening pages of her autobiography, which is titled Assata.
Yeah, absolutely no, like my
Super
mom
intense.
was a fucking nice person kind of thing. Nothing like I was brought up to be smart or an anecdote about an apple.
No, she gets right into it.
This chick is bleeding on the fucking side of a fucking...
It's intense.
It's gnarly.
I recommend it.
Yeah, it's intense. So yeah, do you want to hit some of these comments before we go into our Wayfarer stuff, which is, this is a pretty
Delicate
good update
said,
there.
Dale, your roller coaster is slowly climbing up to the crest.
Yes.
Does that make you nervous?
It does. I can't even tell you how much it does, but it does. Yeah, it does. Listen, I want this book to blow up so bad. I poured my soul into this fucking thing. I know it's not perfect. I know that. But I know that I also know that it's entertaining. And I only know that because of the way that you guys have come back with it. Your feedback. It's the people have spoken. The book is good. And it's up to them. It's not up to me. Yeah. It's not up to you. I remember when I made Small Group and we finished the cut and basically the director reached out to me and asked me essentially like how I felt about the movie. And I responded with, it's a good movie. This is how I feel about it today. It's a good movie. I'm not thrilled with it. I'm in fact the opposite of thrilled that it's evangelical, right? But
it's not a movie you would have ever written.
Never or made.
But it won the festival, so...
Yeah, no, but it's a good movie. So I said it's a good movie. His response was, that sucks. I want it to be a great movie. And I was like, you don't fucking get to decide that. Like, I snapped at him. I was like, that's not what we do. We don't sit around and decide what our fucking movie... We don't get to decide that our movies are great. That's why when Quentin Tarantino came out to speak about what his masterpiece is, I'm like, okay, I guess you get to decide that. But you don't.
No, that's in the eye of the
That's not how it
beholder.
fucking works, dude. You get to be the creator of the work and then you walk away, with the paint dripping from your brush. But we get to decide what the masterpiece is. We get to decide what is the perfect movie and what is the imperfect movie. At least that's how I've always seen it.
I think that's great advice. Because you got to take that burden off of the artist, you know? It's not up to you, bro, if it's amazing. That's up to whoever is seeing it. You know?
Because you think it's great does not make it great. Because I say it's great as somebody who worked on it does not make it great. You know, you can sit there and fucking, you know, I was going to say something crude. You can sit there and be like, you can sit there and self-aggrandize yourself to, you know, whatever dopamine heights you can create. But the reality is made by the people who consume it. And that's why, you know, when I released the book, dude, oh my God. Like, I mean, the anxiety was just insane, especially when I got the 2-star review that gave me a raving review about the writing, but gave me 2 stars because she believed them and not me, basically. Oh, the anxiety, God. Because it dropped my fucking score to 3.8 or something. And I was like, I'm ruined. She ruined me.
You shouldn't admit that that's ever an issue because people could use that.
Well, people know what reviews are and what to do with them.
Yeah.
You know, listen, the one thing about Amazon that I'll say is that you can't really infiltrate their reviews. You know, they have so much. It's so buttoned up. And if they see foul play, they shut it down. I already know about many reviews that never got posted that were 5-star reviews that weren't from anybody I know, but from people who wrote me and said, hey, I loved your book and I gave you a 5-star review. And then they were like, it's not posted. And I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry. Back and forth, I went with one woman only to realize it never got posted ever. So, you know, Amazon, oddly enough, they literally, like, if they suspect a review is inauthentic or in any way suspect, I suppose, I don't know how to put it. They won't publish it. I think that's kind of interesting. So, yeah, hallelujah and all that other stuff.
Jeremy Wright is with us.
What's up, Jeremy?
Said, I remember watching Death Wish 4, The Crackdown with my grandpa on cable.
No, really? That's fucking great. That's the bomb. Yeah, man.
all we remembered was that damn mustache.
Yeah, the Death Wish movies, bro. I remember that voice. It was always that voice for me. I was obviously but he had that, like, I just loved his voice. And it's like his manner, his stoicism was just absolutely amazing and confounding to me because he's
Charlie
like
Bronson.
when you're dealing with something as like severe as violence and you're doing it really calmly, more or less.
Cosmic Urgency is mentioning how Jennifer Lawrence was on some like publicity panel.
I have seen her name.
Did you see that?
I didn't catch the headlines.
It's so fucking weird that these people are like promoting movies and then some reporter will ask them about their perspective on world events or something. And it's like, they're actors, bro. Like, why are you asking them these questions? But the question was like, how do people raise kids in this world? And how do you think about raising your kids in this world? It's like, what are you giving her like an existential like
she's like leading the question into how do you feel about raising kids in a world that's crumbling at our feet?
Yeah, and she's like, it just sucks because number one, she is, right? So it's like now she's like got all the huge auditorium of people all staring at her, waiting to hear what she has to say about her very private family life and how she feels existentially about the state of the world and how it affects her family. Like, what the fuck kind of question is that? Anyway, Cosmic Urgency brought it up. Jennifer Lawrence said, it's sad that for young people, it's going to be normal, that it's very normalized that politicians lie. And then gave us a big laugh about that. And I think it's just like, obviously politicians always lied. But I think it's kind of good that it's all exposed, that everybody's sort of dropped the mask.
It was different. The lying that you're talking about was different.
Yeah.
Because while they were lies, they were promises. They were broken promises.
Yes.
Yes, there were lies. There were obviously lies. Yes, there were scandals. There were obviously scandals.
Yeah.
We had like Strom Thurmond in, I mean, come on. If there was
any better.
It's not like we didn't have our very same far right, like racist, fucking leaders in this country. We have those. It's sad. It's true. We had them, but there was a respect for the office that at least held some sanctity together as it related to for the people.
But the public was always being told comfortable.
Pat Buchanan, exactly.
Yeah, no, it's true. The public was always being told comfortable lies about the reason for, whatever fucking imperialist project comes up next. Like it's just.
Well, it's always like they take these liberties, like 9/11. They created the Patriot Act, and
right.
They just
they like
stomp all over our rights.
Put it in this like American flag bow and be like, you guys like this, right?
And then they tell you, in for your safety, we're going to have to X-ray you and take a biosample.
Exactly, dude. This is the thing. So it's
get a genealogy report.
I feel like it's a net positive that we're now all reasonably suspicious.
Yeah. Well, it is what it is. It does suck that kids are being raised in a world where they're going to think this kind of deception is absolutely normal and a part of the game that's being played. It is especially worrisome, obviously, for future politicians.
Yeah, I think the lack of professionalism is probably the worst thing to change, because people used to have qualifications to have these high positions in public office.
Remember though that
they don't anymore.
What you do in business is you disrupt things. That's how you create new business and you create new enterprise, is by disrupting old enterprise. That's how we ended up, or we would have just had reel to reel and records our whole life. But we create these enterprises to disrupt to disrupt old enterprise, and so this principle applies really to everything, including politics. And that means, like, if you're going to, for example, have a foundation or if the most common thing that you find in a politician is their corruption, then to be able to win, to be able to break through from that, provided that the corruption hasn't led to the absolution of elections, right? Then you have politicians, younger politicians coming in and trying to disrupt, and so they're going to disrupt with honesty. They're going to disrupt with transparency. They're going to disrupt with the kinds of things that would fly in the face of these opponents who are the establishment. So, that's the only thing, I guess that's the only silver lining, is that if there are still free elections, then, the sort of formula to unseating incumbents is going to be through, sort of the principle of disruption, we'll call it.
Yeah, right. Like if you want to do like a deep clean.
Yeah.
Right. Everything always gets messy first, right? Like you have to take everything off the surfaces in order to clean the surface. You got to empty everything out of the closet in order to organize the closet. Like everything always makes a big mess before it gets super clean.
Exactly. And that's where
we're in the big mess stage.
We're in the big mess stage. So all we just got to hope for is that, like, elections stay in order. We got to just hope that the judicial branch hangs in there, because that's really the branch you need to hang in there the most, because it's got the most power to rebuke, stop, change. It has. If without the judicial branch, we're fucked.
We'll see.
And I know the Supreme Court's fucking iffy, to say the least. But we need all the district judges. We need all that to be. It's so fucking messy. But anyway, hey guys. Happy Friday. We haven't figured out what we're watching exactly yet. We need to do that. So we got to throw out like the finalists. Really, we have to organize this properly so that we can.
I'm not prepared to do that. I still have to read everybody's recommendations. So you're going to have to give me a minute.
Well, let people throw things out that they already threw out there. What we're watching is, in large part up to you guys. But we're large, and then we're, oh, by the way, I do have some tiny pineapples to give out. Can I do it now?
Okay,
so.
To give out?
Yeah, I got some tiny pineapples. First of all, I just want to address the tiny pineapple in the room.
Oh.
which is that, pineapples are supposed to be some kind of symbol from couples that apparently says, hey, we swing. We're swingers.
Oh, yeah. It's like code or something.
Technically, it's supposed to be upside down pineapple, because after being told this, I had no clue. After being told this.
Who told it to you?
It doesn't matter. After being told this, people are like, you know what pineapples are, right? And I'm like, yes, I eat them.
They're fruit?
They're fucking great. I love them.
What do you mean? They mean something?
I also liked them on my shirt at one time. And then he proceeded to tell me, no, it means et cetera, et cetera. I immediately run to you.
So okay, if you wear a shirt with pineapples on it, it's signaling to everybody else that you're a swinger.
Like we go on a cruise, we get pins with pineapples.
You're talking about a cruise. I'm sure cruises are
because you're creating an environment like you want to find. It doesn't matter. You go to bars.
Yeah, okay.
It doesn't matter where you are. If you're as a couple, if you're carrying a bag with pineapples on it, or if I'm wearing a lapel pin with a pineapple, especially an upside down one, but even upright, according to the person who told me.
Then somebody can show up and proposition you.
Then somebody will come. Yes. Then you're basically open for propositions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that we have a tiny pineapple rating system,
which could be for some kind of indication, and we're a couple. And I just want to say that's off the table.
That you're not a swinger.
I'm not a swinger.
So nobody in the chat can proposition you. Me?
No. And we have to.
Either of us.
I don't think I want to throw away the tiny pineapple.
No. They don't get
system.
to fucking claim it. They don't get to own that.
Yeah.
Tiny pineapple.
It's a pineapple.
Well, also,
it was on my shirt.
Did you like tiny pineapples before they liked tiny pineapples? Maybe you're the one that owns it. Maybe it's yours.
I don't know when the pineapple symbol, like the pineapple, whatever it is, communication.
Listen, their kinks don't have to be your problem. You can just live your life.
Okay.
If it ever comes up, you can just easily clarify that.
AKA Charlie Sheen.
The documentary.
We watched the documentary on Charlie
that's
Sheen.
what it's titled, AKA Charlie Sheen.
And it's called AKA Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
We watched it.
Because his name is Carlos Estevez.
His name is Carlos Estevez. His real name is Carlos Estevez. And, there was always this thing about whether or not the kids should have Sheen, and Martin Sheen was big on them maintaining the heritage of their mother, Estevez. So it was, he changed his name though, because Emilio went out and made a name for himself. We all love him from The Breakfast Club and so many others.
Yeah. He's
Repo
great.
Man is one of my favorites. I think he was in Repo Man, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So
no.
Was that Charlie?
I can't remember if it was a Repo Man.
Was he in Stakeout?
That is Charlie Sheen. Sorry, Emilio Estevez. Yes, Repo Man. You're right. Harry Dean Stanton.
Harry Dean Stanton. Yeah, I love Repo Man. It's a fucking great movie. Cosmic Energy said, you weren't going to watch Charlie Sheen's propaganda. Well, I did. I watched it. And I'm here to talk about it and give it my pineapples. And you guys can fucking shame me for it if you want. I don't really care. I do care about you guys, but I don't care if you're going to shame me for it because I watched it and I'm glad I did. I'll straight up right now tell you that it's 4 tiny pineapples for me. I think it's a really good documentary. I think it's extremely well made. I think he is a very charismatic fellow who is engaging, and I can understand why people got so into him, even though I didn't. So I was never really into Charlie Sheen.
Same here.
I saw him, in Platoon, and I saw him in all the, the big moments of his life, Major League, so on and so forth. But I wasn't like a Charlie Sheen fan. I was an Emilio Estevez fan if I was anyone, and I was definitely a Martin Sheen fan. But Charlie Sheen was just kind of like, oh yeah, I'll watch that kind of guy more to me than anything else. And then obviously watching, here's what I'll say about the documentary. I would just say that I felt like it was a very insightful look into the life of an addict in a way that I had never really seen presented before. I felt like he did a really decent job at being honest. I am, and I want to say this as a survivor. I survived a severe amount of abuse as a child, absolutely severe. Crazy, mind-blowing. I'm not even going to go touch on it beyond that. It was fucking mind-blowing. So I'm going to comment on the Corey Haim controversy that's involved in this because I feel, because I just want you to know, beforehand, but I want you to know beforehand that I'm going to comment on it with somebody who takes this very fucking seriously. Like, this is not something I would ever think about lightly at all. Okay? I am leaning toward more believing Charlie Sheen and Corey Haim's mother, both of whom say that it never happened, than I am to believe that Corey Feldman's, Now look, I don't want to say that Corey Feldman didn't hear it from Corey Haim. He may have. I will say that Corey Haim was also an addict in the same way that people want to look at Charlie Sheen as an addict who is untrustworthy and all this other stuff. Well, so was Corey Haim. He was an addict too. And that doesn't mean that Corey Haim wasn't a victim. That doesn't mean that Corey Haim wasn't damaged by the outside world. I think it's probably likely that he was. I don't know that it was Charlie Sheen, and I actually lean toward more believing that it wasn't Charlie Sheen. That's my opinion based on the way Charlie Sheen handled the question and the way I felt he handled other questions that had him deal with honesty, severe honesty, hard honesty.
He did seem like he was always honest with people. Even when he was implicating himself in wrongdoing, he was very honest.
It's true.
It was really strange because usually addicts are really easy liars, but he never lied about any of that stuff.
It didn't seem like he did. He was brought up by,
he would lie to himself a lot, like, I can handle this or this will be fine, like that type of shit. But it didn't seem like he was ever trying to lie to anyone else. And throughout the whole documentary, I was really stunned by that because I've personally known addicts in my life, been very close to people who are addicted. And the ease with which they lie in order to prevent what they anticipate is going to be some sort of punishment or some sort of discomfort or something is just astonishing. Where you're like, wow, I didn't think you were a liar, but look at you. You're very obviously lying. Yeah. This guy doesn't do it. It's so strange. It's really admirable, I guess.
It's also important to note that like he also did some very controversial things involving women. And that stuff is like hammered out with the women in the documentary as well. I am somebody who believes very much in the idea of restorative justice. So when I see his victim sitting there and talking about him and the relationship with him and the controversy around their relationship with him and his fall into deep and terrible addiction, right? There's balance to it. Do you know what I mean? There's a perpetrator and a victim coming together with a problem that they now share, right? And especially with the one wife whose name escapes me, who was also an addict and like a really bad one, like nearly lost her life to her addiction as well.
Her name was Brooke.
Brooke, yeah. Forgive me for not remembering her name. Anyway, there's a lot more. I was very surprised by what I learned. One of the most, by the way, uplifting things that I got out of the documentary was how exquisite a man Martin Sheen really truly is. Like Martin Sheen as a parent, as an unrelenting father.
Martin Sheen.
Yeah. Like this guy is Saint Sheen. Like this guy
I know, I was really stunned by that
the
too.
Next level human being.
Yeah, especially for having a kid who's like such a repeated fuck up, like such an astonishing fuck up.
Well, you talked about how you think how you think he was reliably honest.
Yeah.
And I think that's Martin Sheen. Like, I think he was brought up in a world. By the way, Sean Penn is in the documentary too, and I really found his portion to be quite fascinatingly insightful. It was really interesting to see his personality in such a more relaxed tone. I've never really seen him in that way. So I really do recommend the documentary if you're interested in these people, because it's like something to see and it's something to experience. And you can walk away fucking completely hating Martin Sheen in the end. Or sorry, do not. You can walk away hating Charlie Sheen in the end, or disliking him, or shunning him, or judging him, or whatever it is, whatever fits for you, or not. I still think you'll walk away from this documentary and you'll say, "Wow, that was insightful. It was interesting. It was it solved it whatever, it tickled curiosity and resolved curiosity." So I think it was a good documentary. I think that Charlie Sheen was is a really fucked up guy who I think might have teetered on the sort of genius sort of spectrum and fell off more than stayed on in terms of handling it. I think that he was potentially somebody who was overwhelmed by good fortune and where in there was like some kind of guilt, some kind of conflict.
Oh yeah, it must be. Like he was such a self-saboteur. He must have felt
wild.
I know.
It's
he
wild.
must have felt like he didn't deserve it because he was constantly trying to prevent himself from
burn it down.
I know. It seems like it's so obvious that there was some sort of like the shadow side of his success would come out, and it would be entirely revolving around how he doesn't believe that he should maintain it because he didn't deserve it in the first place. I do judge Charlie Sheen, though, for saying that he grew up in a normal neighborhood. When he starts out with that shit, I'm like, you're full of shit, dude. You know, you grew up around like super wealthy celebrities. All of your neighbors were like huge players in Hollywood. Like, come on. You didn't grow up in a normal neighborhood. It wasn't fucking working class, you know?
Cosmic Rigidity said, the stuff you say he's honest about is equal to what he's alleged to have done to Corey. I'm not sure I understand that question. It's not about, what I'm saying is that I don't necessarily think that Corey Feldman is being dishonest here. I'm not saying Corey Feldman didn't hear this from Corey Haim.
Yeah.
I think he might have. The question is whether or not Corey Haim was being honest.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the timeline of this too, because there was a time where Charlie Sheen was the highest paid actor. And I don't know whether a guy who's like really, really torn up with addiction and past pain wasn't saying things targeting Charlie Sheen for a reason. I don't know. I mean, you don't know. You don't know because the person who's made the allegation has passed away. So we can't, he hasn't been made to answer for that. And so the person who is reporting that to everybody is somebody who heard it. It's hearsay. And so you don't know the details of that either. And he can't confirm nor deny any details either. Yeah. So it's just the whole thing. It can't be acted upon. It's just a rumor.
True. I'm sorry to step on you there. Like that. And not knowing Corey Haim's mother or her background.
Right. So she is being very vocal saying that she's certain it never happened.
What
is her motive for doing that? Like, is she speaking the truth or does she have any reason to side against somebody who potentially abused her son?
And she came out and said this after Feldman had leveled these allegations. And again, remember that Feldman's context, if I understand it correctly, is that he was told by Corey Haim that he was raped by Charlie Sheen. And so anyway, and Charlie Sheen denies it, as you would expect him to. And I it is with, his denial coupled with the evidence that's actually there, which is he said, she said evidence. And of course, the mother's support that does have me leaning toward believing Charlie Sheen, that he didn't do it. I'm not saying he wasn't accused of it. I'm not saying that Corey Haim didn't say that. I'm not saying, like, there's so many different ways in which that name, Charlie Sheen, could have come into a conversation with Corey Haim where it was braided into this kind of an allegation, especially a guy who's an addict. And here's what we know about addicts. I know this for certain. I've seen it firsthand. Addicts will do almost anything and say almost anything to get money, to get the kind of things that they need, the resources they need to keep their habit going. And Charlie Sheen was a very rich guy. So it's entirely possible. And I'm not leveling this as an allegation. I'm saying it's impossible not to consider these things when you're considering such a serious allegation against somebody. Like if you're, it's like, why are you so quick to say Charlie Sheen is a rapist of children, rather than to pump the brakes and say, what are the entire circumstances and what does it look like with them all in place? And so when I take everything into consideration that I have access to, which is entirely limited, the only people who know for sure are going to be the two men involved in the potential allegation. And I call it a potential allegation because there's also the outside chance that Corey Feldman is making it up so he could sell his documentary. Corey Feldman is also, to me, an unreliable hero in this story. Yeah, I just don't think you can count on him as like absolute telling the truth and just take that to the bank without some kind of support. So he's really making a very weak claim that is so severe that I feel like it should have more to it than just Corey Haim said.
We also don't know how much of a stage mom Corey Haim's mother was. If she was literally present with her son all the time, like a lot of stage moms with working child actors are literally ever present, constantly there with their kid. If that was the case, then she would know that nothing like that happened.
I think there's a good chance that she knew that nothing happened. It doesn't mean it didn't. She can't be, was it omniscient? Omnipresent. She can't be omnipresent. There are holes, there are gaps, there are times when he's going to be alone with somebody. But I think that's a really cool observation about it, which is that, yeah, man, I mean, as a stage mom goes,
that's usually
she's
the
gonna be
reason.
up in it.
That's usually the reason why a lot of these kids succeed is
But I'll
because
tell you
they
what.
have a parent who's like constantly managing them and constantly working on building their career. Like a lot of the people that we know their names of because they were child actors had parents like that. I never did. I always was really resentful about that, and I think that's one of the reasons why I failed whenever I was trying to do any show business type stuff, is because I was like completely on my own.
I'll tell you, I was hanging out with Brad Renfro for a minute.
Yeah.
And he was a child actor at the time.
Yeah.
And he was staying at that complex where child actors stay.
The Oaks.
The Oaks. Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's called the Oaks. That's good for you.
Yeah, it's on like Barham Boulevard,
It's
right?
on Barham, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'd go hang out with them there. We did other things, but we'd go hang out and play.
What is that? That's
Mario
like
Kart.
Are the condos like owned by the studios or something? Because
I
there's
don't know. I just
like,
know that it is a short-term rental.
Yeah, for those of you guys that don't know, it's like this humongous apartment complex up like at the foot of like the hills right next to the freeway. And so it's like really perfectly situated to work in all of the studios around.
Yeah.
And and it's always being rented by stars. Like,
yeah. So,
and it's like a gated compound and stuff that they all live in there.
yeah. So Brad Renfro was staying there or whatever. So, and I hung out with him quite a bit for a minute. And his guardian was his grandmother. And dude, I barely even saw her. I never saw her. I mean, she came out of the bathroom. She laid in the bedroom, and she just come out with a cigarette.
She was just hanging with him.
And just come out. She would like blah, 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 something to him, and he'd be like blah 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 back, and then off she'd go. So it's what I'm, the point I'm obviously trying to make here is that just because we might assume that maybe because his mom's a stage mom, she's watching, we don't know. Brad Renfro wasn't a highly accessible kid.
Right.
A highly accessible kid. So, and again, there's like a lot of parents out there in Hollywood that I know existed, and were just there for the ride on their kid. They'd sell their kid to the fucking devil for that paycheck that they were getting. So there's a lot of problems there, that could like, certainly not, that could challenge the credibility of the mother. And I think that's just more to my point. I just don't think that there's enough going around here to turn around and look at Charlie Sheen in your own mind and say, you did what he says you did. I just don't think there's enough there. And his denial looked to me like had a very confident, it was a confident denial, with enough sensitivity around it. Like, I don't know. I actually was impressed with Charlie Sheen, and I believe Charlie Sheen when he says that the things he did under the influence of what he was, which was a severe addict. And I believe in that. I understand that. In my book, I confess to a moment totally drunk out of my mind that would have never happened sober, couldn't have happened sober. It was a moment that Toby used to make me vulnerable. Right? To strip me down so that he could get under my skin. Yeah. Right? And so it's important to recognize that the behavior that you see out of these people, it's like, it's not excusing it. It's the reality of the situation. I said this of Charles Bukowski, one of my favorite writers of all time, and I believe deserves to be considered one of the greats. But his lifestyle was highly objectionable, and some of the things you might even see in interviews and things that were captured where he's really abusive in ways, right, is really cultural. Like, camera off, that girl's hitting him with an ashtray. Do you know what I mean? Right. Like there's like and I lived in this environment where, where abuse wasn't, where it was just a way of life.
Yeah, it's just normalized. It's
just a fucking normalized way of life. And this was the culture that Bukowski lived in. And so there are these things that you have to like understand to sort of get context. So you can understand, truly what's being done and what's being, and rather than what's being, sort of, I don't know, been, more culturally appropriated.
Back to the documentary. Do you want to talk about how you learned so much about Apocalypse Now?
Yeah, there's a good.
That was kind of neat.
Yeah, there's a great like insight into Apocalypse Now, and because he was there on the set, which is so fucking cool, and I did not know. Yeah. Even though I had gotten a great deal of. Anyway,
they covered everything. So you give it 4 tiny pineapples.
I'm giving it 4.
I do too. I think the filmmaking and the editing was superb. I don't really care about Charlie Sheen. I was never a fan of his. I think he's kind of annoying. But it was a really well made documentary, and they covered so much and it was engaging the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. And me either. I mean, Charlie Sheen, I'll forget about him after this chat. I really will. I mean, he's a wrap after this, but he was an entertaining figure throughout the entire documentary. He's had a fascinating career.
I want to watch everything that Martin Sheen ever did.
He grew up with Sean Penn, which is such a neat dynamic.
Yeah, that's very cool.
And he also has certain things that do appeal to me. He has loyalty. He has these kinds of things that help carry you through the film, I think, pretty well. So, yeah, man, check it out if you want to. It's on Netflix. Is that right? Is it Netflix?
Yeah. Can I share with you some of the chat?
Yeah.
Guilty Angel said, I've been summoned for a jury duty starting in October.
Oh, man.
Does that mean that you're going to be sequestered and you won't be able to come to our lives anymore?
Oh, no.
I hope it's not like a super juicy
I hope it is.
lawsuit.
If you're gonna go to fucking jury, I hope it's like,
Yeah, but we won't be able to hear about it because she'll be sequestered.
that's okay. She'll tell us later. We'll get the inside scoop.
Maybe if you're lucky, you can just get out of it and you don't have to.
What if
deal with
somebody's like on our live and all of a sudden they get called to jury and then they're like, guys, I'm going to be on the live with jury and I can't talk to this case with you, but I will be able to come back. Oh,
tell us everything.
Oh, we'll all hold our breath for whatever weeks.
Have you ever been on jury duty?
No, I moved here before I ever got summoned in Canada, and in America I cannot be summoned.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Lucky you. I've been summoned a few times and then got out of it because
I got this kink over here. It's fucking.
I was like, hi, I'm extremely racist. Can I just go home?
Yeah, that doesn't fly anymore. It used to be the.
No, they don't care. They put you right on the jury.
It used to be everybody's out. Hey, I'm a racist. Okay, yeah, no, we can't have you then. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I dated the defendant. Can I go home?
People like, but the defendant is white. Yeah, I hate white people.
Right. My mom was on a really interesting jury duty. It was a guy who was burglarizing a house, and then the homeowner caught him, and the dude fled, but the homeowner shot him on his front yard.
Oh yeah.
And so he like fired out into the street and like hit the guy in the butt. And the guy survived. He was fine. But the jury was trying to figure out whether he was criminally negligent or, his discharge of a firearm into a neighborhood, into the guy while he was fleeing, whether that was unlawful.
Was it unlawful?
Yes.
Sounds unlawful.
Because as soon as the dude is out of your house, you're no longer protecting your property.
It sounds unlawful to me. The guy's gone. He's fled. It's over,
Yeah, the dude
call the cops.
The dude was a victim of a burglary and he lost his case because you're not allowed to act like that.
Gun him down in the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, you tried and now you die.
Yeah, I know. You went fucking
crazy.
You went too hard on it. Okay. This is really funny. We were talking about Tarantino calling his movie a masterpiece.
Yes.
Cosmic Urgency said, I think it's fine and even neat that Tarantino loves his own work. But Damon Child, 1977, said, the masterpiece is Jackie Brown, by the way.
Yeah. See, there you go. This is
we are all going to disagree.
See?
And I agree with you. That is probably his best movie. I don't know that it's...
He calls it Inglourious Bastards as his masterpiece, which is fucking...
He said Inglourious Bastards is his masterpiece?
Yeah, that's what he called his masterpiece.
Fuck, dude, Jackie Brown.
Imagine calling
Jackie Brown is so uniquely exquisite.
Yeah, it didn't come up in his conversation about his great movies.
Well, then he's wrong.
Well,
it's got to be Pulp Fiction, dude. That's like the thing.
It's definitely not Pulp Fiction, and the reason why it's not Pulp Fiction for me.
Why isn't it Kill Bill?
Well, he said that's the movie. Tarantino said of that Kill Bill is the movie that only he in the world could make. Is the movie he was born to make. So he categorized them in these different ways. He said Kill Bill is the movie I was born to make, and no other filmmaker could have ever made it. He said Inglourious Bastards was his masterpiece, and then he said that the movie that is his favorite movie that he made is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Don't you think it's a little weird to talk like that?
I don't even understand it.
Can you imagine?
But I guess you get to have it.
Can you imagine not stopping yourself from talking like that? You know what it is, dude? He spent his entire career from Reservoir Dogs till this fucking day being fucking praised like a demigod. Yeah, so he's like, I can talk freely about how much of a badass I am.
I met him once, and it was uncomfortable because he was so intense. I was so out of his league. It was just like there was no eye connection, and it wasn't like it was at an Academy Award lunch or whatever, and it was like there was a big deal, and I definitely was the smallest guy in the room, but it was just he was so big instantly, and it was so like, and he was just untouchable in so many ways. And I think so that for some people it gets to their head. He probably handled it pretty well considering what he actually, what actually hit him. I mean, fuck's sake, he was a genius instantly.
I just can't imagine talking like that about my own work. I mean, I do like my own work. I wouldn't be like having a self-indulgent conversation about whether this one's a masterpiece. No one else in the world could have made this other one. I'm like, fuck, dude.
Yeah, I like my work too.
Okay.
I like my work too. That's pretty much where I leave it. Like there are moments in my work that I love. I love doing the work. The work itself, the actual work, Don's Plum. I like Don's Plum a lot. I love it for what we did. But I mean, I look at more of my flaws than I do anything else. And I think that's just natural. I don't think there's anything. Yeah.
This is for Delicate. Must read Austin's recommendations about traveling. They're really wonderful.
Oh, really?
You want to hear them too?
Yeah.
Austin said, stay on the Arno in Florence and in all caps, eat the grapes.
Oh, that's great.
Along with prescription for 2 gelato a day. Buy stationery for yourself. Your family friends as gifts get wooden Pinocchio.
Oh, it's the best.
Take the secret Medici corridor tour and its Medici women tour. Sagrada Familia. If you walk up the side, right street a block. I guess I'm reading this wrong. If you walk up the side, right street a block, there is a cafe with street seating. You have the rear of SM right. I don't know what any of this means.
Look it up. It sounds fucking exciting.
Eat a lot of pesto and visit a perfumery.
Oh, I'd get it fucking. I couldn't do that. I mean, I'd have a migraine for the rest of my vacation if I did that.
Eat a lot of pesto and visit a perfumery. It's so perfect.
You know what I want to do is, my dream is that I can go away and write a book in like Croatia or like, that's my dream. Like when we were writing, when I was writing the book and we were just about to release and I was dreaming about the book being a big giant success. My dream was that it was like so successful that you and I just fucking closed up shop and we went to Croatia and then I wrote a novel.
Sweet. Let's do it.
And then it was like, nope, Leo interfered with everything. The book did not sell. And it was like, you got to go do a podcast or something. Life, okay, bro.
Cosmic Urgency has commanded that we watch Manhunter this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list of things to watch.
So we'll watch that.
Well, it's Michael Mann sandwiches, man. I gotta watch it. I need another director this weekend.
Okay, well, we'll figure it out, bro.
You know what I mean? Because I already know what I'm going to get in color, and I'm going to get these close-ups, and blah blah blah. He probably shoots. I guess I didn't notice that in the flares. Anyway, we still might though.
Austin said that's the first thing I thought when I saw the tiny pineapples. I said to myself, "Self, do they mean what I think they mean?"
Did you really? You see what I'm saying, Angela? What are you gonna do, bro? Why the fuck do people have to steal things?
I know.
Pineapples? Dude. Why pineapples?
Oh my God, I know. I was what is that movie with Al Pacino where he's like an undercover cop and he has to like infiltrate a gay bar and he teaches
Cruising.
Yes, Cruising.
I saw that.
And he teaches the whole world about like the handkerchief code.
Yes.
At the time, I was working at a diner. I had short hair, and I used to tie my hair back with a handkerchief. I thought it looked all nice and vintage and cool. And then I was like, oh shit, wait a minute. I saw that movie, and I was like, am I fucking signaling a code with the color of my fucking handkerchief? What's it called? Bandanas, right?
Yes, bandanas.
Not handkerchiefs. Handkerchiefs are smaller.
Kerchiefs.
Kerchiefs. Bandanas. Colored bandanas is a code for what kind of sex you want to do. Thanks, Al Pacino. Appreciate that.
Brad Renfro, by the way, he was a wonderful kid, man. I was so sad when he died. I really loved him. I thought I was going to make a movie with him for a minute there. We loved each other, bro. We went to, it was the first time I ever went. He was like, we were just hanging out. It was like, being around a 17-year-old kid or whatever. And we're playing Mario Kart, and I don't know what time it was. It was like probably like noon or something. He's like, let's go to, what's that fucking theme park with all the roller coasters?
Oh, there's a few in Southern California.
Yeah.
There's Knott's Berry Farm.
No.
There's Magic Mountain.
No. Oh, was it Magic Mountain? It might have been Magic Mountain. What's the other one?
There's another one. Well, Disney has.
No, it wasn't Disney.
Now there's like the California Adventure. That's a new one.
I think it must have been Magic Mountain then.
It's probably Magic Mountain. They have the best.
Anyway, he was like, let's just go to Magic Mountain. And so I was like, yeah, fuck, let's go. So we just like spontaneous, like got in the car and went to.
Oh, you're probably thinking of Six Flags.
It was Six Flags.
Well, Six Flags Magic Mountain is the same place, but Six Flags is like the company that puts them all over the country.
Yes.
And then they have different names. So Magic
Yeah, because
Mountain
I went to
was
the one in Jersey too. Well, anyway, went with Renfro to that a couple times actually, because the first time was so much fucking fun. And we just fucking, I don't know, I just love the kid.
That's super fun.
Yeah, we had a great fucking time. And, you know, I really bonded with him. I loved him. I wanted to write something for him so badly. Like, just hanging out with him, I was like, he had that special thing, man. He had it. Yeah, at Pupil, well, that's how I met him. Because I just see Jeremy Wright writing at Pupil, because Bryan Singer, who directed at Pupil, he was trying to help with Don's Plum. So that's how I met Brad Renfro, was through Bryan Singer.
That's neat.
Yeah.
And it was at the time that he made that, or after?
It was after he had already worked with Brad. Yeah.
Jeremy Wright agrees with you that Sheen doesn't seem like a liar, and that he seems more believable than Feldman. I don't know, man. I don't want to take like a firm stance on it, because obviously I don't know, but
I can't. And again, I want to state, like, I wouldn't be at all surprised if Corey Haim did tell Corey Feldman that story,
and it could have been untrue.
Or it's also possible that Corey Haim, in a totally wasted state, brought his name up mistakenly. Like, it's just too. There's too many unreliable variables here to brand somebody for something so goddamn severe. Like, this is not a small fucking thing. We're talking about putting a brand on somebody of doing one of the most heinous acts a human being can do.
It's true.
You know, you can't do that with I mean, come on, man. Like we have to be sane. We have to be rational. And I don't think there's anywhere near enough out there to prove what he did. And I'll tell you, man, there's a moment when Charlie Sheen's like, when he said what he says of Corey Feldman, he's like, we were friends at one time. I don't know what happened. It's just weird. Because when he said that, it's just like, he's like, because, and I thought about it, you know.
So,
but let me finish this, because
okay, I'm sorry.
I thought about it, and when and what came to mind with that statement was, because like, why would you say that? Like, we're friends. What does that mean? Like, where's that lie cryptically in your statement? And what occurred to me was, it's like, why wouldn't you come to me and say Corey said that? Like, why wouldn't you come to me? Do you know what I mean? Because like, it seemed fairly obvious that he had no idea that it was coming out in that way, that this accusation was going to come out. So you know, the answer got back to the question about, like, why wouldn't, you know, was for me, you know, like, oh, you wanted him to come to you. You wanted Feldman as a friend say, hey, Corey said this shit. What's up? Like, what went down?
Yeah.
And that makes some sense. Now, on the other hand, by the way, and this can't be ruled out, Charlie Sheen, by his own admission, was a completely out of control drug addict doing absolutely wild shit.
But at the time of the accusation, when he was making Lucas,
yeah,
at least in the documentary, it didn't seem like he was struggling with that issue at that point.
Crack, no. I freebased once in my life. Oh my God, dude. It was the most frightening thing I had ever done in my life. And the guy I did it with went down, like sores on his face.
I would never mess with something like that, because it's just too dangerous.
And it was, you know, it was like the peer pressure. He was like, do it. And I was like, okay, whatever. What is it? And then I did it, and it was so crazy. It was a crazy moment for me, for sure.
Austin said that there's a documentary on the Oaks.
Is there?
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. I mean, everybody, Artie Robb, Kevin Connolly, like everybody that out of town when they were kids, actors, they all stayed at the Oaks, all of them.
Apparently it's a place where there's always trouble too, because there's all these, like, basically
kids.
it's like the island of misfit toys with all these like child actors that
like
just
Lord
get
of the Flies.
Yeah, exactly. So like there was a wildfire that apparently they thought got set at like some sort of arson or like fireworks or something at the Oaks, because it was like right up against the hill, and It's so funny. Everybody knows about the fucking oaks in Southern California. So when word got around that they thought that it was like some kids lit a fire, they were like, "Oh, of course the fucking oak." Like, of course they fucking did.
Yeah.
Because there's
No,
always
it definitely had that
troublemakers.
reputation for sure.
It's like it's not like it's different. It's not like gang crime. It's not like a bad neighborhood. It's like a good neighborhood with all these kids who are just like set loose without any adult supervision.
The apartment was so like it had that temporary abode,
Yeah, like it's just like a
super
hotel.
generic everything.
Yeah.
And you could tell like nobody possessed anything. There was no.
It's a super weird.
It's kind of a weird environment. The only thing that he did own was his Nintendo.
It's also between. It's like right next to the highway and right next to Barham is like the super busy road too. So it kind of always has this like when you're right by the ocean, the sort of the constant sound of the waves sort of makes everything seem like it's got like a strange vacuum. Like the everything sounds and feels different. It's like that there. That part. Strange place to live. It's like a Bermuda Triangle.
Somebody came up with the idea that I should open the David Stubman email, and I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna do it now. I'm gonna figure out when, but I'm gonna do that at some point. I'm gonna read it out live. I'm gonna wait till it's like the movie like blows up and we have like 1,000 people here, and I'll be like, "Do you think it'd be crazy if we have 1,000 people? What would we do? Nothing, right? Everything would be the same."
I would just like struggle to keep up with the chat, but I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, I just don't want to.
Jeremy Wright, you're devastating me with this news. Dale, Halloween is in 35 days. You need to know this.
Yeah.
Jeremy Wright. 35 days away. Do you know what you're going to be for Halloween?
No. Do you want to see this?
Everybody needs to figure this out. What are you going to be for Halloween?
Angela and I got married on Halloween.
That's us.
And this is us.
We love Halloween.
Yeah, we got married on Halloween.
It was also a blue moon. What?
It was a full moon. I don't know.
A blue moon.
A blue moon. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to be. I'm never anything.
We have to have matching costumes.
Now we have to be something because we're going to be on our live.
I know.
I don't know. I'm probably getting like a carrot nose. I'll just show up with like, look, I'm halfway to a robber already.
Yeah, see? You just have to like pull it down.
I got to get the thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right. I got to pull it down. I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. I got to be something or other.
Okay. There were other things you wanted to talk about.
Cosmic Energy says, "I believe no one. I trust no one." Listen. I feel that way.
That's wise.
Yeah, but this is where I'm like, I believe no one. So it's up to me then to balance the things around me, and I understand, and then I come up with like, ideas,
Jeremy Wright said for Halloween I'm going to be Toby's tofu scramble.
Oh, no,
that's absurd.
No. You go out as a cup of almond milk.
A glass of a mug of almond milk.
A mug of almond. I'll go. Maybe that's what I'll do is I'll dress up as Toby's roommate.
Don't
and
do
I'll
that.
And I'll slurp out of my mug.
No, don't. There's something happened on the Lively v. Baldoni docket, and you understand it better than I do.
Okay, let's talk about it. You ready to talk about that?
I want to. Yeah, I want to know about it, but I don't know anything.
First of all, Liman has denied Wayfarer's motion to compel on Vansant. And moreover, he opened the door for Vansant to recoup legal fees because he'd already ruled on this. This was a wrap already. And so they went back after Vansant again on a different motion to compel. And the judge was like, no, I fucking said no to this shit, which was basically in Vansant's response to the motion. And they asked for lawyer fees. And so the judge has said, yeah, you can come back at me and ask me for reasonable lawyer fees, which is ostensibly a sanction. I mean, It's a sanction on them. It's not an official sanction. It won't show up on the actual record as a sanction, but it is a sanction.
God, they just keep
They're saying you're wasting these people's time and money, and that's going to come out of your fucking pocket.
They keep fucking losing, bro.
Isn't that something?
But they keep trying stuff and then it slaps themselves in the face. Like, why are they not just sitting on their hands and waiting until their fucking trial? Also, there was another thing about how they still aren't providing the discovery that they were mandated to provide.
That's the other thing is Lively has been forced essentially, or Lively's lawyers have been forced essentially to file another motion to compel
for the Wayfarer parties.
It's for the same stuff. This is going to get gnarly, dude. So
What's going to happen?
Well, I mean, this is
obviously
the
there's no
spoliation.
consequences because they keep fucking just ignoring judges' orders.
Well, the consequences haven't been laid yet. There are consequences. There are going to be consequences to this.
What are they though?
Well, right now there are two, strong possibilities. One is sanctions, and if he starts throwing down sanctions, that's going to get ugly. And the other is a spoliation, either sanction or judgment.
Oh, so, yeah, right. Where like the jury or the judge can just infer that whatever they're not trying to turn over would be really damning to their case.
Well, and then file for some, or not file, but issue a summary judgment. I mean, the judge is in his power if these guys don't actually come up with the fucking discovery that they have been skirting since February. When they were now in February, they all agreed to the rules of discovery, which is a part of the process. So all of the discovery that they're filing these motions to compel are previously agreed upon parameters, right? And then they argue about some of the stuff that's included, but it's all within the scope of what was allowed back in when Liman ruled on the sort of the bounds of discovery. So these motherfuckers are doing it again. They're keeping away the discovery. What do they want? It's all Sarowitz. They're hiding the Sarowitz stuff.
I think that
What did he say?
I think they've totally pivoted. They're like circling the wagons around Sarowitz to protect him because he's like Johnny Moneybags. He's the guy who's paying for the whole operation. And I think they've started to throw Baldoni under the bus and like, I think they're trying to. I feel like they're trying to push for a summary judgment. Who? Wayfarer?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I think they know they've lost. So I think if they could
they just want to get it over with?
No. I think the idea is that if they can get the judge to issue a summary judgment, then they can cry foul that they didn't get a jury trial.
Oh, of course. That's true.
So the idea would be that they can they have a better publicity. See, the spin of a summary judgment versus the spin of a jury judgment is a totally different ballgame when you think about it with their fanatical group. Like their fanatical group.
They'll just spin that too though, because,
like the first thing you can read about, for example, right now on today's Liman's denial on today's, so he denied Wayfarer's motion to compel on Vansant, right? So if you go to the Baldoni side of the fence right now in comment sections, they're spinning this denial as a totally different thing. They're spinning it as it still opened up some kind of avenue to something and blah, blah, blah. Literally, the judge denied it. And the judge said, by the way, come get your legal fees.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Ostensibly sanctioning them or opening the door to be sanctioned. And still their fans are spinning that in some kind of way in which it's positive for them. So like that's never going to change. These guys are always going to like try to twist and turn and spin things.
We also see already about how like they'll say that a jury is tainted or the jury was infiltrated or fucking the jury's stupid or whatever.
Yeah.
Like so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean they're going to spin a loss for Baldoni anyway.
I'm just saying I think the spin that serves them better is a summary judgment spin because then they can say that evil Judge Liman, right? And they got their big appellant.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Attorney Shapiro.
So he might avoid a summary judgment just because he can sort of clock, or does the judge not care? He doesn't care what their game is, right? Because he's a judge.
Not. Well, I think look, I could be wrong about this, but I believe that a summary judgment is basically required when a judge can see clearly that this is a one-sided affair. And I think it's because there's an immense expense to the state, or in this case to the federal government. But there's an immense cost to the federal government, especially a trial with these kinds of players in it, where you're going to have intense amounts of security and probably a much longer process because there's so many big legal minds involved. Whereas if you're doing, if you're working with public defenders, no offense to public defenders, they just simply don't have the resources that these other lawyers have to be able to create a massive fucking case to bring to a jury.
Yeah, he's probably eager to just get it over with. I saw you got excited. Is it because you saw that Rainbow Pickles here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got excited too.
Did you?
Yes.
Rainbow Pickles here is
Welcome
fucking
back.
great. I love seeing Rainbow Pickle. I saw Cosmic Urgency, by the way, cyber drooling over Jason Patric, who I believed, like when I heard that Oliver Stone was going to make the Doors movie, that's who I wanted to cast, Jason Patric. Like if you look at a young Jason Patric and then you put his mane on him, I think he looks more like.
No, you're right, but Val Kilmer's Juilliard, bro, and
he was brilliant.
And according to the Doors bandmates that he rehearsed with, they thought he literally channeled.
He embodied
Jim Morrison.
him,
Yeah. Like he was saying the same things that Jim Morrison would say. Like in rehearsal, he would screw up.
Unlike Jim Carrey.
Huh?
When Jim Carrey was playing.
Yeah, right. No, totally.
Kaufman.
I know he like went off the deep end, but apparently the Doors musicians were like, when Val Kilmer would screw up, and like he'd screw up the same way that Jim Morrison would screw up, and then he would say the exact same thing that Jim Morrison used to say when he would screw up. He was just like, they had to tell him to like quit it. It's eerie. You're creeping us out.
Yeah. I mean, that's so fucking amazing, isn't it? No, look, I'm not criticizing his performance. Val Kilmer was brilliant. I loved the movie. When it came to my mind to cast, my first thought was Jason Patric. It was my first thought.
Cosmic Urgency wants to know, is it easier to get a book published or get a screenplay sold?
Oh, it's much easier to get a book published. Why a book is better all around is because you create a piece of intellectual property, so you can actually get a couple of transactions off of it if it's good. So if you write a good book, and remember, a book doesn't have to be fucking more than 80,000 words. So it's kind of like a rough draft of a fucking lengthwise of a good screenplay, really. I mean, a good screenplay is probably 35,000 words, like a rough draft of it, and then you get that down to try to get that down to 18 to 20. So, you're only really doubling the work. Think about it like this way too. Like I put myself down to a discipline of 1,000 words a day. And so 80,000 words, 1,000 words a day, it's only 80 days. You got your first draft, 80 days, first draft. That is pretty fucking good when you think about it. So if you can have a first draft of a book in 80 days, it doesn't matter how bad it is. Remember that it's all about getting it on paper. All you have to do is get it on paper. And now you've got the leg up. The reason people never finish their novels is because they don't, they go back and they start over, or I'm going to change that, or you don't ever do that. You just keep writing forward. You keep all your mistakes behind you. You don't go back and correct a fucking thing. And then 80 days later, you got yourself a book. Now, when you have a book, you go through the process of refining that and getting it publishable. Now you have a double transaction. Now you've got somebody who's going to option the book, and the purpose of optioning the book is to obviously get it into a screenplay. You are in a position then to become the screenwriter. You can put that in the deal. And if you can't get that deal done, you can be smarter than them, and you can write the book and write the screenplay already. And then you can spec the screenplay out, which means you can still get that double transaction. By the way, you still have the double transaction no matter what, because even if you don't adapt your own screenplay, they still license that from you. So, you're still getting that payday, and you're still going to get all those residuals, because you're going to get the book payday and you're going to get the licensing payday.
The reason why I'm all for writing a book over writing a screenplay is because of the stack behind you. Those are completed screenplays, and nobody's seeing them. Nobody can see them. Nobody knows those stories. There's a whole stack of them. If you had written those as books, people would be able to know those stories and share those, and you'd have a name that attached to your stories, and you'd get credibility for it, or money, or even.
And look, the only thing that a book is going to do is make you a better writer. Like all writing this book did was make me a better writer. Like it's an amazing discipline to sit down and not only get those 100,000 words down. In my case, it was 240,000 words, but it's also an amazing discipline to refine those books, to refine those words into a finished product. And I mean, it's a college education.
Do you believe that writing a book made you a better screenwriter?
It made me a better writer. So how you choose to apply writing. If I'm going to sit down and give my devotion to poetry, I'll be a better poet. If I give my devotion to lyrics, I'll be a better lyricist. So it's.
Do you think writing a screenplay would make you a better novelist?
No, not necessarily. There are some, I guess, yes, to a degree, because I think that there's so much economy evolved. It really depends on how you want to approach writing long form. If you're like me and you prefer economical writers. Like Hemingway is my idol, and his economy is the most beautiful thing I've ever read.
Right.
So I really am swept up by that, as opposed to, say, like the density of a John Irving, or the vocabulary of a Nabokov. I prefer Bukowski. I prefer Hemingway as like my. I love all of them, but as it relates closer to my work. So screenwriting, the economy of screenwriting, I think really helped me.
It's good training.
Because you got to bring it down. You always got to change. Yeah, but the limitation is that, and I guess this is actually an interesting thing. It's a limitation that works well in terms of opening up your creativity for filmmaking, but doesn't serve well for novelizing, which is, of course, that with screenplays, you're only working with visual side. Yeah,
it's true. And then a screenplay is always written as an omniscient third-person narrator. Sorry, not omniscient. Limited third-person narrator.
Yeah.
Because you don't have the ability to go into people's thoughts and narrate what they're thinking, because
or just jump into other characters, for that matter, if you're so inclined.
But in a novel, you have the ability to be whatever kind of narrator you want to make it.
Cosmic Urgency said that he thinks he's going to try and write a book, and I'm not going to try and be an asshole here about this, but just or Yoda, but get the try out of there. Like, write a fucking book. Like, it's 1,000 fucking words a day for 80 days. It's 1,000 words for 100 days. Don't try to write a book. Sit down and fucking write a book. Sit down and write the goddamn book.
Yeah.
Don't try any of this bullshit. Don't create the idea that there's a chance for any kind of fucking failure. Don't allow that in your psyche. Do not allow that.
It is just one foot in front of the other. Like, you don't have to try.
The thing about writing novels or writing screenplays and succeeding is always looking forward. The thing about always looking forward is this. You're always looking forward, then you start over. And when you start over, you look forward. That is to say that you start over and you start rewriting. You don't rewrite and then go back again to chapter 1 and rewrite chapter 1 again after you finish that first pass. You go 2, 3, 4, 5, et cetera, and now you're done your next draft. And the only amount of revisions that I allowed myself to get through this book or my screenplays or my development of my screenplays is I give myself a very small sort of, I don't know, maybe in my books it would be like a maximum of 2 or 3 pages. So 1,500 words, 1,000 words, I would go back and just the last 500, 300 words of the day before, I would go back and just read that to get me into where I'm going on my next 1,000. And so I might throw in a couple of revisions, like, because I see obvious typos or whatever it might be. So I might like throw that in, but I would never allow myself to ever go back further than that, ever. Even when I knew.
Until you were done.
Until I was done. Even when I knew that I had mistakes that I was blatantly going to change, or storylines that I knew I had already broken. I leave those storylines broken. I already know because that they're broken because I created the new, I switched the rails, whatever, 3 chapters later, or whatever it might be. So, or whatever it might be in the screenplay, meaning, as far as beats or whatever. So just fucking don't try anything, dude. Do it. Commit to it. I'm going to write a fucking book, and write the goddamn book. And don't fucking trick yourself into believing you can't.
Don't scold anybody.
And here's the thing. You can't trick yourself into... It's already bad. We know that. It's bad. It's a bad book. Write a bad book. Give yourself permission to write a bad book. That is the key to success, is giving yourself the first opportunity to fail at it. Because you have to fail at it in order to succeed at it. It is not possible to succeed at writing a book before first failing at it.
Who was it that said the first draft of everything is shit?
Ernest Hemingway is the most legendary thing ever. The first draft of everything is shit.
Yeah, you just have to let it be.
And it's not just about accepting that it's shit. It's understanding that it's shit. It's far beyond acceptance, because it's the understanding of it, because it is in that shit where the beauty does truly lie. Call it fertilizer. Like it is really, you're going to shock yourself at what happens in that second, third, fourth, and fifth draft. Once you've created that discipline of I'm not going to stop until, and you can, by the way, I often would do in my fiction is I create my ending. I know my ending of everything I write. So
You're so lucky. Oh my God, that's the hardest thing.
Well, if you don't, to me, if you don't know the ending, you can write yourself into a lot of trouble.
Yeah, oh my God.
And you can spend a lot of time, maybe even years, trying to figure it out. So figure that out first. And if you don't, then you don't pretend. Just for me, I was like, if I don't have an ending, I don't have a story. If I have an ending, I have a story. So, and the ending can be a walking off into the sunset kind of ending. It could be open ending, but you got to know what it is. You got to know what that final image is in screenplays. Like for me, in Never Say Goodbye, for example, I know that the final image is these two parents, right, looking at two kids playing in a sandbox. I know that's the last image. And I know that last image is going to be explosive to the people who've watched the whole movie.
Don't spoil it.
Their heads are going to spin.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not spoiling a goddamn thing. They're going to see two kids in a sandbox and their heads are going to spin. So I know that. So what I do is I set that as my destination. And then with my destination in mind, I'll put my destination at a certain page count or word count. So it's either I'll put it at 120 pages. So that scene ends at 120 pages. This is the end of my movie. Or it ends at 80,000 words. And so then it doesn't mean that I'm always going to land in there. I often don't. I'll push, until, because I keep, so I'll write more than I need to. So I want it to be 80,000 and it ended up being 120. But by giving it that limitation ahead of time, I'm imposing a certain limitation in making sure that I'm not going down and meandering off of the spine of my story and my characters, if that makes any sense. Really easy to do. But if I've given myself, so what I try to do is I try to give myself a bit of a confinement area, like, hey, you can't go past here. That'll fuck everything up. It'll break everything. So knowing that I have to get there. So when I was writing my memoir, I knew that I needed to be, I was hoping for 140, 150,000 words to publish. And so when I finished my first draft, there's no rules. I just write. So I wrote, knowing more or less my ending. And then I ended up with 230,000 words and I was like, oh shit. And that's a really good example of not like having everything in place, because it was a memoir. In fiction, bro, that's at 80,000 or 120,000. I would put it at 120. So put it at 120,000. That's 120 days at 1,000 words a day. 1,000 words a day is not that difficult, but if it is, then make it 500. The other thing that you have to do to be successful is make that daily goal 100%, like easily achievable. So I knew I had 3 to 4 hours every day to write. I could carve out 3 to 4 hours every day. I knew that. And I knew which 3 to 4 hours I was going to get. I knew where they were in my day. And so I had that designation. And then so I just asked myself, like, what's a reasonable number I can achieve in 3 to 4 hours in word count that I can commit to and achieve fairly easily every day. And for me, that was 1,000. If for you it's an hour a day and 500 or 250, that'll work too. And by the way, if you have these smaller word counts because you've got certain constraints in your life, whether it's work or other responsibilities, you can just sort of make it write a smaller book. Write a book that's 80,000, and write it 500 words a day. That's 160 days, a half a year, and you've got your first draft of your novel. And I'll tell you that that second draft is definitely a fucking scary place, because you're walking into the desolate fucking land of your broken prose. But as soon as you get there and you start collecting it and you start recognizing and changing it and shaping it, you'll be surprised. At first, it's very discouraging and very hard. You have to remember that you're going to do this 3 or 4 or 5 more times. So just go through it one more time and just be okay with not finishing it again, but that you're going to go through it and repair the things that you know to be broken, or
that's another thing.
Draw these lines that you need to fix the pipes, if you will.
People are entirely too sure that they're only going to need to do like one revision draft. No, you have to set yourself up for knowing that you're going to have to do like 10 of them, so that when you begin, you don't put so much pressure on yourself to get everything right. I think the main thing is just to recognize that for instance, Cosmic Urgency said, I'm not excited about writing it as a book versus a screenplay. But books are allowed to, they're capable of going out and living, like then it's something that is out in the world that you could potentially profit off of it. You could exploit, you can share. If it's a screenplay, it just sits there and waits until you have to do so much more work to show it to anybody.
Completing a book. It's so interesting that you say you're not thrilled about it, and it may not be a similar experience to you. But I will tell you that for me, actually finishing a book was, transformative. It's an incredible graduation. It's I think that, yeah, for me, it was just, it was important. It was a long time coming. And I think that, I think books are daunting, just incredibly daunting. Like having written one and a big one at that, I think about the next one and I think, oh God.
It's not going to be as big.
It's not even that. It's just like, it's not about the big, it's just such a mountain. Like I can't tell you. It's just such a mountain.
I know.
And you know that going in.
It's also that it's not as big size means it's not as big of a task either.
By the way, I wouldn't say that I had any more difficult time writing this a book than I did a screenplay. I really don't. Like for me, it was actually, I think the book gave me so much more freedom, and it also taught me a lot about adaptation because I was like, oh, I can't do this. I wonder how I'll adapt it, and these kinds of things. So anyway, there's a lot to it.
Rainbow Pickle wants to write too, but it's a story specifically set in a century, and they have ship advantages, and Rainbow Pickle is not sure if they have the knowledge about the ships to write it.
So don't write it with the knowledge at first. I would literally put, in my draft, I would be like, and this and that, and I have no idea.
Yeah.
You got to find out. But in the end, I might know what my outcome might be. Because my outcome, here's the thing that's important about this is fucking great questions, bro. Or great problems. The where the heart and soul is in the humanity of it. So you can put the setting in. A great example of that is Hemingway's For Whom the Bell Tolls. In For Whom the Bell Tolls, he writes in this completely different articulation. It's like it's as if he's writing translated Spanish. Like badly translated Spanish almost, the way he wrote the book.
That's interesting.
But it's sexual. But you end up in this totally different, altered kind of state of being with these characters and these situations. And at times it feels because it's about a Revolutionary War moment, right? So and it's like, and you're with these revolutionaries, and at times you're just you're wondering does he even know what it means to be with a revolutionary? But what captured me, what makes it one of the best novels I ever read in my life, is the humanity within this loose construct. Because Lars von Trier made his whole career on this. If you go and you watch Lars von Trier movies, they don't feel like they have full integrity. The world doesn't necessarily feel intact. It feels very, really focused, almost like a severe strike to the head.
Yeah.
Where just everything's kind of vibrating in this one horrible, dense tone. So it's about so just don't worry about that technicality until you need to. And I would literally put blocks of this will be researched revolutionary, or this will be I'm talking about revolutionary, because of Hemingway, but your 17th, 16th century stuff, just be put it in a block form. It doesn't have to fucking articulate anything.
This is so interesting too, because I just saw this got fed to me. The algorithm thinks I want to see articles from No Film School. So this was just the other day. They posted.
They're still going, dude. That's one of the oldest school. I think it's the first channel I ever watched on YouTube.
They said the psychological trick that turns writer's block into momentum, and this is a tip from, they're crediting the Oxford writer. And they're talking about how when you can't fill in a space, just use a placeholder.
Yeah, just placehold.
Instead of powering through or panicking, borrow from the future.
Yes, exactly.
The Oxford writer said, if you're writing and you reach a scene where you don't know what happens next and you can't think of something, you put what is known as a placeholder. They're trying to... let me just get to the...
So sometimes in my placeholders...
Sorry. Do you want to say it?
Nope.
This technique taps into what's called the Zygarnik effect.
Oh.
It's named after psychologist Bluma Zygarnik. They explain that that waiters could... in a test, okay, this is an experiment that they ran, that waiters could recall far better the details of an order that hadn't been paid for. Your brain remembers unfinished business better than completed tasks. So when you create a placeholder, you're telling your subconscious that this needs work. And so if something's not completed, the subconscious will carry on working on it even while you're sleeping.
This is absolutely true.
Writers report that this technique allows them to actually continue on writing, sinking deeper into psychological flow and engagement with their work.
Yeah.
So placeholders are actually like programming your brain to continue to solve the problem that you couldn't solve in the moment when you were just going to leave it blank. So rather than getting stuck on it, if you put in a placeholder, you're actually like putting an order into your brain.
Well, it was so incredible that you read that because it was literally just about to say, when you put the placeholder in, you're just going to sit there and it's just going to roll around in your head until it gets sorted out anyway. You'll have your aha moments. You'll be sitting there washing dishes, or it happens to me all the time when I'm writing. And my placeholders, I often like to put like whatever my psychological, emotional, or physical goals are for the scene. Like, so I might be like placeholder, blah, blah, blah. And I want protagonists to feel, et cetera, so that I have whatever I'm bridging it to as I'm moving on.
Right.
So I just want to bridge it in terms of understanding fundamentally what's supposed to be in the placeholder.
Yeah. It's like a piece of like Scotch tape in your storycraft, you know?
It's a bridge. You're just creating a bridge. You know what it is? Like you need to get, like it's like it's like a temporary bridge that you're going to come back and you're going to lay some actual pavement down. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's fucking great. You don't have to worry about these things. I love that you guys are coming up with these problems because these problems are easily solved by this is what's, I'm convinced this is what most people run into when they can't finish their projects, is they're getting caught up in things that they're doing out of order. Just out of order. Like you don't have to have your research done up front.
No, that's true.
Because you know fundamentally what you want. So when you sit there and you ended up like jamming out your whole structure for it in your in your first draft that has these placeholders strewn throughout, you now have you've narrowed your focus by the telling of your story. So you've given yourself an opportunity to narrow the research. Do you know what I mean? So there's two ways to approach this, and it just depends on how you want to do it. If you want to be that kind of author, I'm not that guy who fucking goes into the library and spends fucking half a lifetime researching, comes out 3 years later going, I'm ready for the novel, with a fucking, to write the novel with a beard down to his knees. And then he sits down and he starts writing the novel and he can't fucking get it straight because he has so much information. It's too much information.
It's a really tantalizing, like active procrastination where you're like, no, I am doing really important work while I'm not doing the work I'm supposed to be doing. Like you're supposed to be actually writing the thing, but instead you're researching all about it, which is like super important work, but it's just procrastinating.
Well, you're right. It does become an easy like, oh, today I shall. And by the way, there's another hint I'll give you about writing that is really important I've said it before on this channel, but it's always be writing in your head. Like no matter what you're doing, just always be writing. We just talked about how there's an actual psychological, and I didn't know this, but there's this actual psychological event that is named after somebody where you're literally tricking your brain into subconsciously solving a problem. Yeah. Because the problem lays in wait while you're progressing through this inevitably unfinished material. Well, similarly, I always, I credit myself for writing at all times. And what's important here is that I credit myself. And this is why this is important is because psychologically, I think a lot of people don't understand the value behind what it means to always be writing in your brain what's going on. That means you're running through scenes, running through dialogue, running through character ideas, running through scenarios that are kind of almost just blocked out in rough ideas in your brain. Oh, what would happen if this and that, and blah, 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 and how would they react? And, however it is that your brain sort of gets around ideas, characters, movement, dialogue. We all do it differently. Some people see dialogue in actual words, and it's a strange thing, so I don't want to make any presumptions. But using your creative process, have it engaged at all times. When you're washing dishes, when you're walking with, when you're driving, but don't let it distract you from driving. But No,
that's a really good point about distraction too. Like a lot of people will deliberately distract themselves from thinking, like just being alone and bored, right? Okay, you put on a podcast while you're washing the dishes, or you listen to music while you're walking your dog, or like you put on something for entertainment while you're showering. Like a lot of people will just occupy their ears all the time and keep their brain distracted on something else, which is fine. But if you're working on a story, you really should be using that quiet time in your brain to always be mulling over your story.
Well,
because you'll fix problems and get inspiration, and all these things will come to you while you're in the middle of like scrubbing a dish.
Yeah.
And it's like annoying because you're like not at your computer at the time, but that's usually where this sort of stuff comes through.
Well, actually, it's not annoying for me because I've turned it into a discipline that is different than being at my computer. So I have a process now that is a part of my workflow. So I already know that when I'm at the dishes that I'm not going to physically write. So I already know the value or the kind of writing I'm doing in my brain, which is usually me going through different kinds of motions, either dialogue ideas, right? Like, so exchanges, tension ideas, right? Some of the things I'll do is like totally out of the realm of the book itself. For example, like I might find myself drifting off to something else. Like maybe I'm thinking about something that an interaction I had with my father. My dad and I, once we were fishing and this happened, right? And then I'll just be drifting off in my own mind, or maybe it's you're at work and you're thinking about a conversation that you overheard or one that you participated in or something that was in the fucking fridge at the office that you felt was questionable and possibly toxic. And I'm bringing up all these examples, but what I'm saying is that these are all ended up like triggers that I try to relate back to my story or my characters that I'm working on in a book or in a screenplay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it's really fucking cool and effective to do this because it creates scenarios for you to kind of exercise your characters through them. It's really exciting.
I just looked this up. I had to make sure that my reference was right. Virginia Woolf was talking, she wrote about the experience of being a writer. And she was like the most fundamental thing that a writer needs is a room with a door that closes.
I agree.
And this is what I was saying earlier. It's like it's not literally a room with a door that closes, but you have to make sure that there's space and quiet for you to think. Like wherever that is, wherever you can capture it. So if usually you're on your commute and you've got the radio on, like if you're working on a story and you're trying to write through problems and you're stuck someplace, like make sure you give yourself all of the silence and all of the peace for your brain to just run and like just really try and mine that internal dialogue to solve problems. Because if you keep distracting yourself, you're not going to get that work done. And so that's what you mean by continuing to write in your head. Yeah,
Austin's Rainbow is calling it role playing, and that's exactly it. Just role play. Just do different kind of role playing exercises. Run through like story ideas, but I'll also like string dialogue concepts together, and then I'll just remember the fundamentals behind them as my sort of thing. This is perfect. Rainbow also says that they get inspiration from shows they watch and then come up with their own characters and how they would join in. And this is fucking great. I do this all the time. This is fucking great. This is a great exercise, and you can use this as a means to really create definition, three-dimensional definition in your brain of the characters that you're writing by putting them in the scenarios that you're seeing them in, especially ones that you think are would be familiar to your character, or where your character or characters would have very unique reactions to, or whatever. That's good stuff.
Austin is asking, Rainbow Pickle, did you read King's writing novel?
Stephen King on writing?
Stephen King's on writing is really great, but I also really recommend, if you're interested in how he writes and how he thinks about writing, his book Misery is more of like, I feel like it's more of a writing book, more of a book about writing than it is just
it's almost as much a writing book as it is a novel in many ways.
Yeah, I learned so much about how he views his story creation process through that character than anything else he's written about. He
also through Annie Wilkes,
yes,
has this really beautiful way of explaining the responsibility of the writer to the reader.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And I really love that because that's important. And this is like one of the things that I think is easy for writers, aspiring or fledgling or even experienced writers to neglect or to forget. That we're writing to be read. We're not writing for our own egos. True. We're not writing for our own pride. Like when I write, everything I write, I'm writing for you, with you in mind. The writer the reader. Like the whole book was all thinking about people who love Don's Plum and how they'll react. People who were involved and how they'll react.
Yeah.
My mom and how she might react. You and how you're going to react, like to the scenes. And obviously, your reaction needs to be congruent with the emotional goals I have for the scene, or I'm not done. This imagined idea that I have. It's pretty cool.
The last thing I'll say about Misery as a really excellent book on writing is the way that Paul Sheldon, that's his name, right?
Yes.
The writer in Misery. He talks about how he'll sit at his computer and he'll wait for the signal flare to be shot up from his stomach. That's how he envisions the inspiration coming to him. Is that he'll have like a problem to solve, and then the signal flare will get shot up from his stomach.
It sounds so like out of control.
So interesting.
I try to actually invoke it in the same way that Rainbow might get him. Like, so Rainbow gets inspired by watching characters in shows and so on and so forth. If that was my inspiration, I would watch shows before I write. Like music is what I do to set my tone.
Yeah. Alex is asking, Dale, was it hard to break down the speech patterns of your real friends for Too Real? They all speak differently, and it infers things about them.
Yeah. So this is where I think I might have a gift.
You're a mimic. It's true. You're really good at that. What
I do is I really try my best to understand.
Wait, I'm sorry. Alex said, like, Ethan reads as someone who's genuinely stupid, but I don't think you ever actually call him stupid.
Well,
in his deposition, he reads as someone who's genuinely stupid, too.
I just do. Listen, they're different because I'm dealing with real people. And so with them, I had my experience with them. I had my knowledge of the way they speak. And I try to be true to that in my head. I try to observe life honestly. And this is the key, in my opinion. You have to have as much objectivity as possible in life to truly be able to capture the souls and creatures around you in your work. That's the only way. You have to try and see life through their lens. You must see life through their lens. And while you can't ever truly achieve that, you have to strive for it with everything inside of you every minute of the day. Because if you don't, they're all going to sound like you. They're all going to look like you. They're all going to be like you. It's impossible to avoid. And the only way to avoid it is to genuinely fall in love with the discovery of each individual quirk and quip of every character. And understanding it, like what motivates it, see it. It doesn't matter if you make it up. So in my friends, and this is where they're going to read the book and they're going to be like, I would never do that. They're going to have those reactions. But when you read it, you would not, as a reader, experience that. As a reader, it's going to sound like it's something that's, sort of that flows with their character correctly. Because I can imagine motivations when I see things in people that are doing things or saying things. So maybe somebody says a thing a certain way. There's a certain inflection in the dialogue or their intonation, or it could be the words that they're choosing. It could be the physiology, the way in which they're using their body. They might clench their fist or whatever it might be. And so when I see these actions, when I see that thing happen, whether it's in a friend, which I may observe and use in a fictional character, or it's in my case in a memoir, I will make up essentially what motivates that. What is causing that in my head? And I try to do that as a logic-based thinker. So I don't try to create that as what would I do. And this is the most important advice about this, guys. It can never be what you would do. You will fuck up your book and you will fuck up all your characters if you are thinking about you and what you would do ever. And that's not to say you should fall off some pretentious cliff where you're lost in your character. It's most important, though, to understand and recognize that it has to flow with the character idea that you have for that particular character. And so the trick is to make sure that it's not you. You have to check yourself at the door. And when it comes to drafts, you will recognize so much of you throughout. You will see so much of you, or you will see a conflation of character ideas in single characters drawn out. You're going to see all this, and this is going to be a part of a discipline that you're going to have to learn to recognize and then correct. So it's a bit of a difficult process because there's a certain amount of intuition that comes behind it.
I think it's just really
generally for me was achieved through observation.
I know, it's just this is the thing is
objective observation.
I think that you should put much more a weight on being a very keen observer. Like when you think about how people structure their own sentences, like the clip that they speak at, whether they tend to use small sentences or long ones, you know, this is something that you just observe.
Yeah.
I also think it helps to read their depositions, which obviously not a lot of people can do.
Well, I can do it with characters too. My fiction, when you read my fiction, you won't find me. You're going to find my characters, and they're as succinct as they are in my nonfiction. So it's like, yes, I think that when you're writing nonfiction, you have the benefit of you get to apply the actual observation to the actual character intact, as opposed to an adaptation of that as it might fit into a character that might have a different structure of beliefs.
Yeah, no, this is true. I always find it's a little bit lacking whenever you talk about why you're so gifted at writing dialogue, because I think to you it comes easily, and so you're missing like the ingredient for the rest of us who are like really cannot like bridge that gap between our skill in writing dialogue and your skill in writing dialogue. You're like a natural. Beyond
Observation, it's all discipline in rewriting. So that is early draft. Have your goal, your dialogue goals. So I have a dialogue goal. It's often it may correlate with the emotional goal I have for the scene, or it may contrast the emotional goal of the scene. Like it all depends on how I want to structure that and what kind of tension I want to bring. But I have dialogue goals. I have humor goals. I have these different things that I kind of set out like as call them like you can almost like sticking pins in a board. But like, you know, I know how the scene I know generally how I want the scene to go. I know generally the conversation that I want to be had and what I want out of it. Like I remember I wrote this really special scene for Last Respects, and it was Jason, the lead character that I auditioned for. That character was trying to show the guys how to pick up girls. And because they were all like nervous, dorky kids.
And he was older than them?
And he was older than them, and he was like, let me show you how it's done. And I wrote this really great scene, similar in terms of like how romantic like the meadow scenes were. Mm-hmm. Like there's a romance to those scenes. Yeah. And so, and there you go. Like I went into those scenes with the meadow scenes, and I wanted the romance in those scenes, right? The romance of the business, our love for the business, our like attraction, or if there was any for each other, right? Mm-hmm. Any kind of tension like that. So I have those things sort of set out. But if you don't have the observational skills, so once I have those kinds of structures in mind, which can also come very naturally, this isn't complex. This isn't I don't have to sit down and map this shit out. This is me like, okay, what I want for the scene is I want Meadow to feel inspired at the end, or I want readers to feel inspired by Meadow's longing for greatness. That's it. You know, because I remember distinctly this conversation, right? I remember having a conversation with Meadow where we talked about a longing for greatness and how being infected by that by films can sometimes give us an opposite effect, that instead we're coming out of a film feeling fucking excited and exhilarated, we feel a little bit down, a little downtrodden, a little melancholy, a little repressed, suppressed, held back, whatever it might be, right? And so I put that tone on before I begin. That's what I want. That's it. That's my goal.
That's really smart. What you're talking about is like scene craft and dialogue, deciding what they're going to say. But what I was asking about is how do you make each character's words sound so unique to them? So then
I'm okay with my first drafts writing them and them sounding like two of the same people. I'm okay with all of that because I'll draft my way through that,
right,
knowing that I have this that first fundamental part, which is, you know, what I want, my emotional goals for the characters and for the reader, right? And when I have those, then I go and I just do scrub dialogue. I'm quite gifted, so I can at dialogue, so mine can sound pretty succinct straight out of the bag. But
what are you doing though? Are you hearing it?
I am. I'm hearing every word of it. I play it over and over again on a loop in my head.
So you hear the person as they would speak.
Yeah. So I'm going to be doing eventually. One of my goals for a sub channel here for this, but it'll be available to all these guys.
Let me ask you though, because do you like pause and then listen and then you're putting it down?
Yes. So it's like
Do
dictation.
you recommend that other people try to do that when they want their characters to sound unique?
You have to write what you have to find your relationship with whatever's going on in your brain and how it gets to the page, because there's a lost in translation. It happens to everybody. But
It seems so hard to do.
It's not. If you're like, look, you love movies, see life cinematically, watch life cinematically, remember life cinematically. If you love stories, see life as a story. Don't see life as it unfolds. And then if you do this, your brain will be trained to communicate to itself that way.
No,
I don't just see a fucking leaf on a tree. I see all the things around the leaf.
I
see the little fucking dove. I see the little dew drops. I see the veins of the leaves. I see.
Okay, Dale.
But
what I'm saying.
Please, I mean.
No, what I mean is like, so you're just a really, really good recorder. So when you record people,
but it's about the approach, dude. It's not just being a good recorder. You can turn any recorder on. It's what are you recording? It's how sensitive is the mic.
Yes, but I was specifically talking about people who sound like unique speakers from other people that they're in the same scene with.
So I do the draft, and then I go in and I go in and I look for who's being what, like who's being true and who's not. You have to know. You have to know your character in their heart. This is a very important sort of subtopic. It's weird that we're doing all this, but I'm fine with it. I don't do big, deep, like character bios. I wouldn't do it even on people I know I don't do it at all with my fiction. Instead, I build the character up, and I often compare them in part or in whole to to actual real people that I've met in my life, be they cousins or uncles or aunts or people at a fucking restaurant, somebody I worked with, a guy seen on the corner of a street did a specific thing. And then, almost like artificial intelligence would, I just try to take them through scenarios that I've never witnessed them be in, based on the character that I imagine them to be as I witnessed them. And so why I talked about objectivity so much is because this only really works, in my opinion, because I have such objective observations. I don't judge what I see. So because I don't judge what I see, I can give it cause, and I can give it, extended life or purpose. It sounds a little bit weird, but this is really, to me, like a fundamental part of what I do. But have the conversations in your head, roll them out on paper, and then you've just got to work hard to distinguish the voices if they're not distinguishable, and you have to have the objectivity to be able to do that. And this is the objectivity is probably the key ingredient, because without objectivity, you're not going to be able to recognize, and it can get subtle, dude. Like I can't remember what it was in the book, and I'm almost scared to tell you guys, so that if you guys go back and like Kindle books and you like do a search, and you'll find that I still have 1,000 of these mistakes. But there was like a common dialogue mistake I was making where the majority of my characters were saying a specific phrase that I knew to be correct for the vernacular of the time, but that it was still a phrase that would really be selectively used by a certain
like
personality
far out
type.
or something.
It could be far out. Yeah. It could be, but it would be like a phrase, and it would be only used by a specific type of person in the 90s, not everybody universally. Like dude is almost universal, for example. Right. Whereas this other phrase, which I will not tell you so that you guys don't have the ability to fucking find me out.
This is an interesting question. Am I interrupting you?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Kindly DiCaprio said, OMG, please tell us the full plot of Last Respects. I cannot find it anywhere. And so I went and looked in the depositions, and I found Artie Glacken describing it. Do you want to hear how he describes Last Respects?
Yeah.
Okay. Kevin James is asking him. Kevin James is the attorney. Your attorney, right?
Yes.
Is asking Artie Glacken, who was working with Artie Robb, not to be confused since they have similar sounding names.
Yeah, they were the two guys that were originally attached to write and direct the short film starring Leonardo DiCaprio and all the friends called Last Respects, that later that project got canceled because we couldn't pull off a script, and we ended up adopting a new script adaptation of Saturday Night Club. But go ahead.
So Artie Glacken, Artie as in Arthur,
yeah.
not Artie as in R.D. Robb.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So Artie Glacken is saying, first of all, he answers the question about that it was a short film. 40 minutes or less is how he defines a short film. So then Kevin James, the attorney, asks him, can you give me a brief description, if possible, of the storyline that surrounded the Last Respects
So 40
project?
minutes or less, by the way, that means that Don's Plum was never a short film by that definition.
Never, yeah.
By almost double.
Okay, should I continue?
Yep.
Kevin James, the attorney, asks, can you give me a brief description, if possible, of the storyline that surrounded the Last Respects project? Artie Glacken responds, yeah, a group of guys kidnapped a body of an old friend of theirs, a mentor type, and took him back to an abandoned hotel where they used to hang out together to pay their last respects and bury him in the hotel.
Yeah.
That's the story.
Yeah. That's pretty much it in a nutshell. Yeah. Anyway, so with that scene...
And you were going to play the dead guy. But there was a lot of flashbacks.
Yeah, it was...
Yeah.
You know. Who is R.D. Glacken? It's Artie, like Arthur.
Yeah.
His name is Arthur Glacken.
Artie.
Artie, yeah. His name is Artie Glacken, and he and R.D. were friends. Artie Glacken, at one point, was dating Artie Rob's
sister.
Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, I wrote this story, which is now being adapted into a new story called Buried in This Town. But in that story, I actually have a bit of Artie Glacken's story in this, because Artie Glacken is a Gentile, and the Robs are Jews, and he was dating Lori Robb, and he wanted to marry her, so he's like, I'll convert to Judaism, and that's a part of this story that I wrote called Buried in This Town. Is the main character falls in love with a Jew. And
Alex wants to know, was Last Respects good? Did it have the potential to be good?
No and yes. No and yes. Last Respects was not good. The script. Yeah, it had the potential to be good because you're stealing a body. That's pretty fun.
My favorite part about Last Respects was, an example of why it wasn't good.
Digitosis?
Yes, that too. That's in your book. This one isn't. The mentor type, who's apparently probably 10 years older than the rest of these kids that he befriends.
Yeah.
So it's just like this old dirtbag dude who's hanging out with these teenagers,
Teaching them how to do drugs and pick up girls.
But one thing he's like, all right, today I'm going to teach you guys about music. And then he plays them Led Zeppelin.
Who they didn't hear and they never heard of.
Never heard of.
This is so bad.
Impossible.
I couldn't get Artie off of that, dude. I was like, Artie, bro.
First of all, you're never going to get Led Zeppelin in your movie.
Let's pretend. Right. I mean, it's the most ridiculous thing ever.
You got to come up with something more obscure than that.
Like, I was like, so you're never going to distribute it anywhere because you have Led Zeppelin in your soundtrack and that's never going to fly beyond your bedroom. And then on top of that, you can't have all of them have never heard of them.
Yeah, there's like 7 friends. And
they're all fucking Leo, Toby, fucking Kevin, Scott. Scott has a full beard.
He's never heard.
And he's never heard of Led Zeppelin.
Or even if he doesn't know the band name, he's never heard any of those songs. Those hugely famous songs.
Alex asking if Artie Glacken was nice. He was. I loved him. He was a great friend. I loved him. He really broke my heart. He broke my fucking heart. Because he should have known better.
In his deposition, he's extremely bitter about everything, but he cannot exactly articulate why those people are to blame for the situation.
Yeah.
I think that he is probably, he very easily misapplies his, his conflict.
Before we go, I just want to reiterate something about writing dialogue. Is that the easiest approach to writing dialogue is to create the conversations, to constantly have conversations in your head, and do your best to try to create, how Rainbow was talking about how they watch shows and that the shows inspire them, and they actually insert their characters in these ideas to see how they might react, and really cool exercise. What I do is I take my characters and I put them in these scenarios in life, in my own life, in my observed life, and then I dialogue it in my head, just as exercise. So in my head on any given day, I have probably dozens of conversations that are all just dialogue exercises that I do more or less unconsciously. So it's not my focus. It's literally me. I'll just sit I'll be washing dishes and then I'll just start dialoguing, because I find it fascinating to create distinct voices. I find that the most fun about writing. So I'm constantly always doing it. And I think Tony Robbins said in his Unlimited Power book that repetition, and it wasn't him that made this up, but he's the guy who delivered it to me. Repetition is the mother of skill. And dialogue is no different. But the good news is that you don't have to write it all the time. You just have to listen to it objectively and just kind of think about it as like looking for the muscle reactions. Like how people say something contrary to how they're feeling, for example, is something I love to embrace. You know how somebody might say something like, I love you too, but their body's saying, get the fuck away from me or I'll have to kill you.
Yeah, that's always really interesting.
So just being like, and then working with the way different characters play within these kinds of contrasts and tensions. Anyway, I do the best I can to explain these complicated concepts, but I promise you they're actually easy in application.
Hey, listen, I don't know what we're supposed to watch.
We're going to figure it out. We're going to go to your screenshots.
I know,
You
but
guys really-
like we don't have to tell everybody first, right?
No, we're going to get on Monday. You come in for the tiny pineapples that
So
don't have anything to do with swapping partners.
Yesterday, I think Cosmic Urgency said that 28 Years Later is on Netflix. I feel like watching. It's spooky season, okay? So I feel like watching some horror movies.
Yeah. By the
So
way,
we'll
it's come October. I've been bagging all these stories from R Creepy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're all true.
Oh, I'm so excited.
True stories, really creepy shit.
Okay, that's really great
And
because
I'm gonna-
I had an idea of doing some reading of short, scary stories every day for the 5 days of a Halloween week.
I'm just saying, I think for the entire month of October, I
put
just
on
wanna,
like red lights and a flashlight right under. I'll tell scary stories.
So I thought that for the month of October, I would just throw out like an R Creepy.
Yes.
One of my favorite R Creepies because there's so many.
So many.
And it's all fucking murder. And like mysterious, like where did she go? She was right there.
My favorite ones are the Stairs in the Woods series,
Oh,
where
God.
people talk about
photographs
mysterious
scare me.
disappearances
Yeah.
in the woods and creepy paranormal like forest.
Fucking Jacob's Ladders. What's going on? So
can't
that's
wait.
going to be fun. So yeah, we're going to start in October. We're going to be doing all this like creepy stuff, little bits, pieces of it, and we will watch a lot of like a lot of the horror films and stuff like that. We'll get into that.
We're gonna just pierce the veil a little bit here.
But we're also going to keep going down our themes. You know, I definitely want to watch another Redford and still pay tribute to the man.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
still profoundly affected by his passing. But
Oh my God, I almost forgot to say. I just found out today that somebody in the Bigfoot community passed away this month.
Oh, let's hear it.
It was like September 9th. It was this guy who is a anatomist, and he specializes in primate anatomy. And
Do you know
he's
his name?
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's written a bunch of articles about how primates evolved the ability to walk onto, to be bipedal.
Yeah.
His name is Jeffrey Meldrum, and so he wrote a controversial book about that analyzes Bigfoot footprints, and then talked about the metatarsals and the anatomy of a Bigfoot and how that matches certain primate species.
Dropping big fucking words like metatarsals.
Yeah, no, they said that the reason why the Bigfoot foot impressions are the way that they are is because it bends in the middle of the foot instead of us that have a high arch and everything's kind of
arch,
rigid.
yeah.
Yeah, that they have like a flexor, just like primates would. Anyway, I have learned that apparently every prominent figure in the Bigfoot community is super controversial because there's people who are like, no, that's bullshit pseudoscience, even though it's like we're talking about Bigfoot. So what is not pseudoscience?
Yeah, it's all speculative. Yeah,
I know.
It's based on prints.
But
and,
apparently people are like really
eyewitnesses.
convinced that some people are total bullshit and other people are telling the truth or whatever. So, but he was like a really big,
How old was he?
he sort of like mainstreamed a lot of the Bigfoot, evidence collection.
Uh-huh.
He was born in 58. Oh, he was 67 years old. He died of brain cancer.
That's so young.
But he was
67, Angela. That puts me at fucking. Oh my God, that's like 12 years.
why are you always comparing yourself?
Because I'm at that age, bro, where it's like people drop dead and you're like, oh my God, 4 years? If I had 4 years of life left, what would I be doing?
It was really cute because they shared his obituary, and like halfway down in this long story about his life, his family was like, not many of us even knew that he was like this huge megastar in the Bigfoot community. Like it was kind of like his hobby on the
They're
side.
like, what? Tattoos?
They thought he just liked to go hiking a lot, but it turns out that he was doing like Bigfoot research with a bunch of other Bigfoot researchers and writing books about it and shit.
Did you hear this? Dad is a renowned Bigfoot hunter.
Yeah, like a Bigfootologist or whatever. Anyway, it's just really neat that he existed and that he helped, that he was a believer.
So we'll have some Tiny Pineapple fodder for Monday. Thank you guys for hanging out with us on this Friday night. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful fucking weekend. Thank you for always being there for us because we're really excited about what we're doing. And I honestly am really nervous and excited for this Leo season. So I hope you guys will come along for the ride for it because I think it's going to get a little nuts. So also for your patience, because I'll be a little weird at times, I think, but also
got to keep it together.
There'll be an infiltration at some point where, whether minor or not, where people will come in and they're going to want to talk about my past and they might even be mean to me. And, we'll have strong,
there's no need to do
centered
that.
decorum.
There's no need to do that. To expect bad things to happen. Don't do that. You don't have to do that. You'll handle it great if it ever happens. Probably won't.
Thanks for the chat. You guys are amazing. You guys are so fun to be around. I can't wait to see you on Monday. But until then, I'm going to go eat some popcorn and watch some stuff.
Have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend. Bye-bye, guys.